Yeah, and if we don't go there, and because I know a lot of listeners would be like, "Why do you even like support that
Mm-hmm.
stuff?" It's like, listen, if you don't go there, they control the narrative completely, and they keep saying the
Exactly.
same dumb shit that
100%.
they say over. You have no. So, like, one of the greatest things that I ever did. Everybody here knows who Rob Pincus is, right? And most of your listeners probably know who Rob Pincus is. And Rob Pincus, he can piss off the most pro 2A person and he can piss off the most anti-gun person. He's an
Yes, he
equal
can.
opportunist when it comes to making people go nuts. But one of the greatest things that I ever did is I was asked to speak at the Gun Violence Prevention Conference in Seattle. And I was, once again, first gun person to ever speak at that event.
I got a switch in my head. I go from living to dead. You got me seeing all red. Now I'm becoming a threat. I fucking heard what you said. I'll make you have some regrets. And no, I never forget. So now you have a few debts. That shit, it needs to be paid with blood or some sort of pain. You caused a permanent stain, which has determined your fate. I've never seen so clear. I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here. The sound of deafening fear. Oh.
Welcome everybody to episode 7 of Locked, Cocked, and Unfiltered. I am here with my co-host Chris Lyles and Tony Simone. And we have our good friend, Mike Sodini on with Walk Talk America. So, Mike, thanks for coming on. Let the people know who you are and what you do.
Well, thanks for having me, fellas. My name is Mike Sodini. I am a third-generation firearms industry professional that got out of selling firearms and now run an organization that I started in 2018 called Walk Talk America that bridges the gap between mental health and the firearms industry. So we basically look for innovative ways to educate and help firearms owners when they're in crisis without fear of consequence. We step outside of the 2A culture to educate outsiders on what we go through, and we just bring people together, man. We have a solution for every single negative outcome of a firearm. We feel like we have an answer for it. So that's what Walk Talk America is.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I know we we've talked several times, and we met. I don't know, back. What year was that at Train Learn? That was 2021.
21, yeah.
When you and Jake spoke.
20.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's back when I met you, and I really, at the time, I was having a friend going through suicide at the time, and your guys' lecture really stood out to me, and that's why I approached you guys, talked to you guys, and really kind of wanted to, work with you guys actually. And here we are, how many years later, and talking about you guys and all my classes, and it's received really, really well. In fact, the class I had today, the individual said that she lost a family member to suicide, and at the end of the class, she really appreciated that we added that into our class. So,
yeah, no,
really
and I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and we're all friends here. I mean, we've all been friends for a long time. I think we all support everything that we do, but yeah, I love to be able to incorporate mental health, suicide prevention into anybody's curriculum or anything that they do, because Walk Talk America, I feel, is the first mental health organization that any gun owner can get behind, because unlike other mental health organizations or suicide prevention organizations, or coalitions, Walk to Talk America is no compromise on 2A rights, right? Like, so you could back other organizations, but most of them have a butt on how they feel about guns. Like, hey, we don't take a stance on guns, but we believe in red flag laws. Tony just leave. He just said, I'm out.
I guess he said, well, this is just too boring. I mean,
yeah,
I'm just going to
this is a hot subject. I'm out.
I didn't.
this now.
Yeah, I mean, all right, Tony, be that way, man. Shit.
I guess I thought everything looked clear, so I'm not sure.
I thought we were all friends here. Apparently,
man, what did you do? Shit.
Apparently something changed. I mean, geez. He just said, I'm done with this episode. Y'all have a good night.
yeah, I'm sure he'll be back at some point. Can you imagine if he never comes back?
Oh, God.
You're like, you guys are good. You guys are good. You can take it from here.
Yeah, you guys got this one. Oh, man. But yeah, no, and like I said, man, I do appreciate the work you guys are doing, and I'll start out by saying like how I incorporate it in my classes. Obviously, we talk about the way I do when we talk about suicide prevention, but I talk about the aftermath of a self-defense shooting. we all know an individual, we all know people that have dealt with that and how mental health plays a factor after something like that. But then I flip it on the class and then I make it personal. I bring up what we deal with Cameron on a daily basis. I bring my own personal story when I got hit with cancer. And then I see people's light bulbs like, oh shit. Like, this is not just about, a self-defense shooting. This is actually real life, and having that resource. So that's how I incorporated my classes. And like I said before, it is extremely well received. And every class, that's like the number one compliment I get is like, wow, thank you for doing that. And it's funny because people are like, we came for a permit to carry class and we were talking mental health. Mm-hmm. But I like it. Keep doing it.
I think, but honestly, I mean, it's something that should be in the curriculum, maybe not in the curriculum, but adding in the paperwork and stuff, because, I mean, it's not just people in firearms that have access to this stuff.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a good thing to point out is y'all have got access to the flyers right there on your website, correct?
Yep. Everything's up there. We try to, and we give everything away for free on Walk Talk America. So even the instructor course, if people want to incorporate that, we let regular people just go on, because I love checks and balances, right? Because we get a lot of people that take our cultural competence course that's for behavioral health, the behavioral health side. But, we'll get people that are firearms instructors that come through that, or at least just 2A people. I know that they're checking it out. But that's what we want to do. We want to provide and fill in the holes for every single thing when it comes to anything that might be stigmatized. Gun owners historically they fear mental health. We're kind of taught, be careful with what you say and how you act and what you do, because you can get your firearms taken away from you. So, I think there was a whole culture, a whole generation of us that came up. Take the firearms out of it for a second. Like, let's put that aside. Just the stigma of mental health, right? Now you take the firearms and add that to the mix. A lot of people were looking for outlets so they can kind of, I like to think that we made it okay for the firearms industry to kind of start tackling these issues, and it's getting better. There's a lot of things coming down the pike that are like super cool to see that you wouldn't have saw in 2018.
Right. No, definitely, because it was, to me, kind of one of those things that almost felt taboo to talk about within the firearms industry, because it was, everybody kind of looked at it as a way to make us seem crazy and things like that. So yeah, they wanted to kind of not really, if it's not right in front of your face, you don't really want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. But now you're getting it out and you're getting in front of everybody's faces. So I think it does help talk about it a lot more. Even speaking kind of from Tony can speak to it as well too, from the veteran aspect of it. Even as a veteran, you didn't really want that kind of on your record in a way, because of what it could bring about, So, they didn't want things like that talked about as far as PTSD and even not just with veterans, but police and firemen and EMS and everything that they have to go through as well. So it's just...
I feel things have changed since I was in, but there was an entire culture of you don't talk about if you have a problem, because hell, they didn't even want us going to sick bay if we hurt ourselves, much less talk about mental health problems or issues you were having, even depression. How are you going to separate someone from their family for extended periods of time and not be able to talk about being depressed? Stick you in the middle of nowhere for extended periods of time and not talk about just what's going on with you. We didn't talk about that. And then you definitely don't talk about it after you get out. And then as a firearms owner, especially in New Jersey, you don't talk about anything you're having, because it's like in the military, you're not going to get promoted. They're not going to give you responsibilities. After you get out of the military, move to a place like New Jersey, they're going to try to take your rights away. So it's like there's no benefit. There is more to lose, it seems, than it is to gain by getting mental health assistance. And now things are changing.
Well,
thank God.
Well, it's like, even for me, like I tell people, like when I bring up my own personal story with Cameron and my cancer that I had, I tell people all the time, like, especially us males, we don't like to talk about our problems. we bottle that shit up, and that's how we're we're taught. Bottle the shit up and deal with it, right? But I tell people all the time, it's okay not to be okay and ask for help, and that's why I bring the personal side of things into it. Because you guys were all friends, like you said before. We all know what we deal with, what I deal with, and what I went through. And that's what, like Tony said, we don't want to talk about it, but we have to.
Yeah, I think by nature, like gun owners are naturally kind of like protectors, right? Like that's so it's like it's hard to even show. I know for me, like plenty of times I have been out with people in like behavioral health, and I remember one time like being with the vice president of Mental Health America, and I think we were in Philly, and like a fight broke out at the like right next to where we were standing, and I remember like two of the people from Mental Health America like got behind me, and they were like, yeah, we're always going to get behind you because we know you're the gun guy. And I remember thinking, I don't even have a gun on me. Like, like you know what I'm saying? But like, you start to kind of take on that role because that people just naturally assume you know how to handle yourself in all situations because you're like a gun person, like gun guy, a gun girl. Like, so I think it's just hard, like when that's kind of bestowed on you naturally to even show any kind of weakness or sadness, or people don't want to think about you taking your own life with your firearm. Like that's not, you don't want to think about that. Right. Like, so it just became this thing that was hard for us to talk about.
Yeah. And depending on what part of Philly you are, you were surrounded by gun guys.
Yeah. That's the irony there.
But I think you're right, man. People assume just because you own a thing that you have this persona, John Wick, John Wayne, you got it handled. And it's like, no, dude, I don't want to handle it. Let's get out of here. Let's pay attention, keep our head up on the swivel and slide out the door. And like, I have problems and issues too that I'm dealing with. Rub dirt on it and walk off is not how I handle. Well, actually, it is how I handle my mental issues, but it's not good.
Unless you,
I run from them.
Hey, Tony, I do know that we all know a licensed therapist that can help you with the breakup with Chris. So just throwing that out there.
I'm over him.
He just couldn't handle. That's not what your text messages at 3 a.m. are saying.
my system got hacked. That's an Indian dude. Oh, hello, Chris. I really miss you. I miss your bald head and your floating white beard. Oh, you are such a stud. I would miss your soft cheeks and your lovely lemon-tasted kisses. Oh,
Chris, that's a booty call through text. that's
hold on.
Anytime a text comes in after 3, that's a booty call.
What are you up to?
Lord have mercy.
Hello, Aaron.
You can pretend.
Oh God, my accent's slipping. Let's Netflix and chill.
Oh Lord.
I can't. This is going to be such a fun interview because we're going to weave in and out of like mental health and suicide prevention while acting like we're at a bar, like we always are, laughing.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Mike, you're not ready to live this shit.
Unless you're ready to stab yourself through the eye with a pencil.
It's
man.
because dude, this is a serious thing. This is a serious thing, but we're friends. And it can't be so serious that you go, oh my God, I want to go start a pistol. So we just talk about different things. And yes, we all have had friends. One of the most jacked up thing, Clem, friend from work, supported the work I did. It really helped me out because he lived in PA and I lived here. When it came time to get firearms donated or even trying to purchase a firearm in New Jersey, it's a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? I got to get a pistol purchase permit. And that's dependent upon the town, how long they take to get it to me. And then after I get it, I only have 90 days to go ahead and make the purchase. And sometimes they don't want to give you an extension for some bizarre reason. And he lived in Pennsylvania. Now, he was like, look, dude, you tell me what you want to buy. Give me the money. I'll go freaking buy it. We can transfer it to your name later, but at least if you see something on sale or something, you can catch it. and get the damn gun. I was like, yeah, dude, don't commit a felony for me. I really appreciate it. And something came up in his life that he couldn't handle, and he took his own life with a firearm. And I'm like, one, a lot of us saw him going through stuff and continually asked him if he needed help to get help. We're here for you. Tell us, what do you need? We saw it coming, and nothing could stop it. And he did it. And another part that frustrated me about it was he'd be pissed if he realized his death was used by anti-gunners as a statistic of gun violence death. And it's like, dude, get help. Whatever, we just still don't know what was happening with him. But whatever it was, I'm sure it was temporary. But get help, reach out. Walk the Talk America is a place where you can at least take a step and you're not being narked on. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to find out, and you can take that initial step.
Yeah, it's funny. That thing that you just, just real quick, you'd be surprised at how many people that I have talked to that are firearms owners that said one of the factors that played in their mind that caused them not to do it was the fact that they didn't want to do anything that would be harmful to the Second Amendment. They didn't want to become another statistic that would be used against their love for the Second Amendment. So that's a real thing.
Wow.
And I think that's something that we forgot to mention as well. Everything on Walk the Talk America's website is all anonymous. So I think that is also, a huge factor there that helps out with everything, is making that anonymous like that. Because everybody's always worried about that name being attached to,
Whatever.
any kind of mental health type.
Well, getting on another list. Getting on another list.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
And look, here's the thing, dude. And again, I believe the Second Amendment is a political right. 100%. Politics shouldn't be involved. Political party shouldn't be involved. But understand, if you take your own life using a firearm, not only are you helping the other side, depending on the state you're in, you're going to vote for Democrat for all of eternity after you die. So be careful.
Oh, man.
You're going to join the legions of dead Democrats out there voting in every election. So just say it.
And just remember from the introduction, that is Tony Simone. Simone.
Yes, send all your email to chrislikeladyboys@gmail.com.
I'll be telling them about my OnlyFans.
That's Naughty Santa After Dark. We've already discussed this. Oh, man. Yeah,
I do have one question, Mike, that I was looking around. Have y'all done any type of mobile app where people could get access to the surveys that way, or?
We've talked about it. The thing with Walk the Talk America is we've done a really good job of making it look like we have a huge staff, right? And that's a testament to the people that have helped me get to where we are today. I look at other organizations like Mental Health America, and they have 47 employees. We have basically 2, and then everybody else is a volunteer. So it's kind of where do we want to put our resources and how much bandwidth do we have, right? So, and there's this expectation level, and I laugh about this all the time. Every time I go into meetings, like an NRA show or SHOT Show, they're like, what do you got new for this year? And I'm like, new? Like what? New? I don't put an album out every year. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, we need help with what we're doing, right? We need to expand Kids to Kings. It's something in the future that I think you're going to see, but I don't think you're going to see it. It's going to be a partnership with Walk the Talk America, and it's going to be a technology company that I trust, that I know has the same moral compass when it comes to protecting people's information.
I totally get that 100% right there. So, yes, I can see that. I was just curious about that because I was in there looking around at everything that y'all had to offer from the website and stuff.
Yeah, so I want to say something about the surveys real quick, though, because this is something I'm super proud of. All right, the first survey that we did 2 years ago, we're going to do an annual survey that, we're going to make that a regular thing, because my whole next goal is to like kick down the door of research world and force these guys, not force them. They're gonna be like the gun guy just to kick down the door and force the research. That sounded aggressive. Metaphorically, no. So what I want to do is basically get researchers start researching the things, get them out of their echo chamber and start researching things like how many people don't get help because of red flag laws, right? Some other stuff that we can kind of push back against all the research that we hear, where we kind of roll our eyes and be like, that can't be. So so every year now we're starting to collect data in terms of what gun owners really think. Cause I'm tired of hearing like 7 out of 10 gun owners believe in red flag laws. Like that is not true. I don't know where they got the numbers from. Yeah. So the first year we did it, we had like 250 people take this survey, which we thought was a lot, right? Just because the nature of the survey, we asked some pretty, interesting questions that, if you don't trust Walk the Talk America, you might be like, you know what, this is better for me not to answer this. This year, we had over 2,500 people take the survey.
Wow.
Yeah, which I'm super, and trust me, that started to get the attention of a lot of researchers, because they were like, wow, like, because they said the hardest things to do when they push back against me, when I say that can't be true, because 7 out of 10 gun owners don't believe in red flag laws. They say stuff like, we have a hard enough time getting people to fill out surveys, right? Because they don't have the trust factor. So that just shows you that Walk the Talk America has built trust in the 2A, firearms industry and community.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I wanted to touch back too on what you said, that people didn't understand. Like you said, you don't have a full-time, excuse me, you don't have a full-time staff. It is basically you and Jake. And, that's what people don't understand. So the amount of work you guys are doing with not the big staff is absolutely incredible.
No, thank you.
It seriously makes me proud to be working with you guys and support you guys and help get you guys out there more and do my part. But I want people to understand that it's literally you and Jake. Now you have other people involved, Devin and other people, but mainly it's you and Jake. And that's incredible, the amount of work you guys are doing.
Yeah, and thanks for saying that. And Jake, trust me, like that dude, he is. If there is a definition of an angel, for those who are religious, like I think that guy fits the mold, because the amount of work he puts in for Walk Talk America is almost like full time, and he has a regular job and he doesn't get paid. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And speaking of that, I want to touch up too. You guys are 507 C
501c3. Yes.
That's what it is. I always get them mixed up. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I want people to understand that too. So that's great too. So you guys, people can donate to the Walk Talk America and help them, keep growing this every year and every month and do what they got to do. So I just want to touch on that aspect too before we get.
Yeah, and our advocacy. So like, if you asked every single member of Walk Talk America, or everybody that's a Walk the Talk America adjacent, right? Like if you ask them like, what is the most important thing Walk the Talk America does? Every one of us is going to have a different answer. For me though, it's our advocacy work. It's the fact that like Walk the Talk America gets invited and goes to all the places normally that gun people historically aren't either invited to or don't want to go. Right. So a lot of us, continue to travel, across the country to speak at behavioral health conferences, to speak at the Aspen Institute of Health, to go to the White House. Like there are all these places to walk into anti-gun rooms or events and crowds and actually speak to people and speak to audiences and change minds. And even if you don't change their mind, you give them something to think about. So that's one of the things I'm really proud about the organization. Not just the fact that everyone thinks that there's 12 or 15 employees and you know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to say, because it's important, because of what you guys do, because you don't just almost pander to the echo chamber, because you're out there and get into those rooms, you're able to speak to what you want to call the other side, but I don't believe that's so. It's just people that won't hear us or won't listen to us and won't be in our spaces. So you go into theirs. And that's very, very important, because one, everybody in the firearms community can't do that. Everyone in the advocacy community can't do that because they're not built for it. And you guys are able to get in those rooms and have those conversations and shut down one of the false narratives that the anti-gunners pull on us, that we hold our guns priority above all other interests. And that's not true. The reason we have firearms is to protect life. So when it comes time, and again, almost all of us have a friend that took their life using a firearm or just took their life, and we don't want that to continue. We want people to be able to get help. So thank you for being out there. Thank you for going into those rooms, because it's easy to stay in your comfort zone. It's easy to stay in your comfort zone, and it takes a lot to go into a room full of people you know do not align with you politically and probably ideologically, and you go in anyway and represent. And I'm sure you get snide remarks, side eye, um, people making assumptions and saying horrible things. You know what I mean, about not only you but all firearms owners. So thank you for taking that and taking it to people that actually need to hear it. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I feel at this point, man, I think I'm so comfortable doing that. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I remember like sitting there talking to someone one time, and I'm like, I kind of want to know what it'd be like to be beat. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I kind of want to know what it'd be like to like go into a room and absolutely feel like I got my ass kicked in there. Because it doesn't really happen. And it's not just, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, cause I'm that good. It's that when you walk into a room and you're a firearms person, the expectation level is that you're going to get frustrated and default to private from my cold dead hands, Second Amendment, bitch. Right. Like that's what they expect from me. But what they get from me is somebody who comes forward and starts talking about all the different solutions that Walk the Talk America has for any negative outcome of firearms, whether that's negligence, mental health or suicide prevention, inner city youth violence, the list goes on and on. Whatever it is, we have something for it. And then when they hear that, I think it totally changes the attitude of the crowd, because all I have to do is just talk about how many gun companies put the free and anonymous mental health screenings in the box, and I'm already doing more than everybody in that room. You see what I mean? Like, right, and then it's like, okay, let's listen to this guy, because I meet them where they're at too. Like, I do not get emotional when people hate guns. Like, it's never bothered me that somebody hates guns. People hate guns because they don't want to see people die. They don't really hate guns. They just misplace their anger at something, right? Right. And you got to remember that when you're talking to people, like, you have to give them an out. I always try to tell people all the time. I said, listen, after you hear me speak, this is how I start all my speeches. I said, I don't need you to be pro-gun. I certainly hope I don't make you more anti-gun, because that means I'm doing something really wrong. But I need you to be pro-understanding. And I think people appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's what I find too.
You're right about that, because that's when everybody hears, you're a gun owner, you're a gun guy or whatever, they automatically start looking very far to the extreme. And I think that's where we struggle also as an industry and I think everybody, especially within everybody that we know and talk to and do business with, we're all trying to clean up that extreme side, because both sides have extremists. I mean, plain and simple. And that's what everybody automatically jumps to, because that was kind of going to be one of my questions. And I'm glad you brought that up, that you do get into those rooms. I mean, you look at some of what the other people are doing in these rooms and some of the attention they get and stuff. Do you ever just get just negativity out of that? Or are they fairly they're waiting to hear what you have to say before they make their assumption type thing?
No, I every once in a while I'll get somebody that it's usually in the Q&A that makes a big deal about something that's really not a big deal, but I know it's something that upsets them. Like, I'll give you a prime example. Like, I was in Seattle and I was speaking at a convention full of police officers and social workers. So it was a really interesting mix of talking about two different worlds, right?
Two different groups of alcoholics. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. And it's crazy though. But one thing I was like super proud of is when I was going over the different things that Walk Talk America does. And one of the things I said is I get companies like Ruger and Bursa and High Point and Arms Corps to put like free and anonymous mental health screenings in the boxes of all their guns. And I actually got like applause. Like the room applauded. That was the first time it had ever happened, but I wish everybody could have saw it. Like, you know what I mean? Just because it was just something to where like, I just never felt that before. But anyways, in the Q&A, this girl stood up and she was talking about open carry and the fact that open carry is something that makes her feel uncomfortable, and kind of like, what gives you guys the right to think you can do that? Like, it's one of those things. And I'm thinking in my head, well, okay, this is important to you, and obviously you hate it, but is this really an issue, right? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So it's kind of like weird when you see, like, I just got up there and showed you that 74 people a day are taking their life by firearm every single day. Like, not a week, not a month, not all year, but 74 people a day. And you're more concerned with open carry. And I get it. That might be important to you, like just feeling comfortable and not having anxiety and stuff like that. But that's not really an issue. So usually what it is people groove on something. Like, they'll bring up like one thing that they just hate. Like, insurance makes gun owners feel like they could just shoot people now, right? Like, if you have USCCA, you feel like you could just shoot people.
Right. Yeah.
But no one has ever really like challenged me or said anything that's out of pocket, like, oh, you're a baby killer, or this is on your hands. Usually people are very respectful. And even the ones that, okay, so let me just tell a quick story, because I think you'll appreciate this, right? When I was at the Aspen Institute of Health, and I was the very first gun person to ever be asked to speak at the event. So I was very honored. And then if you saw like the list of speakers that I was amongst, you'd be very proud too. You'd be like, damn, we got a gun guy in there. And I remember like Lori Aronson from Lipsy's was like, I have been saying that the gun industry needs to have somebody speaking at that event, because she has a house in Aspen, and she's like, so somebody should be there, and it's kind of cool that you got there. So I'm in there with, I mean, a lot of the listeners are going to like roll their eyes, but understand how important this is. I'm in the same speaking tent with the same badge as people like Dr. Fauci, Chelsea Clinton, Brink from BlackRock, like just big name speakers, right? And I'm floating around having cocktails, and people are like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm the gun guy," right? Like that's like you let the guy from Jersey in, who's a gun guy. I go up and I'm on this panel, and when I got to Aspen, like 12 different people like came up to me, and they were super afraid for me. And it was cute because they're like, I love your confidence. Good luck up there. Like, this is not a gun crowd. Last year, the subject of guns got brought up and it went really bad. And, to me, I'm like, they're going to love me. Like, that's how I think when I go into these rooms, right? I appreciate them wanting to take care of me. That was cute. But anyway, so we're up there and everything's going great. Right. And then, I had two panelists beside me, and both of them were very pro red flag law. Like, they love their red flag laws. It saved a ton of lives, whatever. Right. But I get up and I said, well, I live in a different world than these two do. I said, I live in a world where red flag laws get people killed. And I could tell the audience was like, what? You know what I mean? Like, okay, what is he going to say now? And I'm like, listen, I said, if I had $1 for every time somebody contacted Walk the Talk America and said, I want to get help, but I'm afraid to because of the red flag law in my state, like, I wouldn't have to ask you guys all for money. And I was like, how many people don't call me? How many people don't contact me? That means we have a bunch of people out there that are never going to get help, that are at like stage 2 or stage 3, that are going to go to stage 4 because they don't seek the proper treatment or health, right? And nobody says anything. Like, the crowd, I sit down and I'm good. Like, we move on to the next subject. I'm walking around campus the next couple of days because I have nothing else to do but just like literally show up to events and hang out, because they paid for me to be up there the whole week and they only needed me for 2.5 hours, which was awesome, by the way. But it was crazy how many people on campus would like see me and they're like, hey, gun dude, like, give me a second, and I would walk up to me and they would tell me like, hey man, I absolutely hate guns. But I appreciate what you said up there. You gave me something to think about. Like, I never realized that like red flag laws could be a barrier to entry for people. Like, it happened like at least 10 times where people were like, yeah, you gave me something to think about. So that's the type of like appreciation I think that I bring to the table with those things is kind of the nuance in the conversation and making people understand we don't want to arm everybody. Gun people don't want, they just want people to exercise that right if they want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not out there fighting against red flag laws because we believe every person should have a firearm. That's not why we do it. We fight against it because we know that is detrimental to the health of humans, especially our people, our culture, which, we care about our own, right? Like, that's how people are. Like, if you want healthy gun owners, you can't make them afraid. So that's the kind of treatment I usually get. So it's like, even if they still hate guns and they're going to fight against me, they're usually always going to be respectful and understand that I'm coming from a good place. And I think they are. Sometimes they aren't, but most of the time they're just ill-informed or misguided or gun ignorant.
And I think that's a big factor in it too, is the misinformation that gets put out there around it. And it's huge. You're getting in there.
Oh, it's crazy.
And like you said, some people might roll their eyes, but these are places where we need to be having those conversations.
Absolutely.
Kind of if you look back with 2020 and how many people were buying firearms and how many people didn't like firearms that were buying firearms, and everybody's running around going, I'm not going to help them because they're, they don't like guns. They're just going to end up selling them when all this is done. And I'm sitting here like, no, we need to be bridging this gap here. This could swing the pendulum huge in our direction instead of trying to fight against it. So I commend you for getting in those rooms and doing that, man. I mean, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
And especially the receptions that you're getting.
And I see the same thing doing what I do. Again, they, as in the people that are trying to get rid of the Second Amendment, cause divisiveness between Americans. They don't want us in those rooms. They don't want us to actually have conversations and actually come to an understanding with each other. Their goal is to keep us divided, keep us hating the unknown, and not have us talk to each other and just assume I'm a gun-loving dude who don't care about children, and they're screaming pink commies that want to turn America over to somebody else. I don't know. But they need that divisiveness, because when we have those conversations, there's that mutual understanding. And again, everybody in the advocacy community can't be that person. You know what I mean? Everybody's not built for that, which is funny that the dude from Jersey is one of the ones that are built for that. It's like, really, bro? And if people don't know, the reason I bring it up is because I've lived in Jersey for over 3 decades now, and trust me, I totally understand. Being from the South, moving up to New Jersey, these son of a guts make good morning sound aggressive. Hey, what's up with you? It's like, what the?
Tony,
Is that parking your parking spot?
Tony, I have the most amazing story for you, and this is like, I'm breaking this. Nobody else knows this except for close friends of mine, but this is hysterical. So one night I'm hanging out. I live in Vegas now. I've left. I haven't been back to Jersey since 2019 when I sold my company, my gun company. But a couple buddies of mine FaceTime me. And I hadn't seen him in a long time. So there was like, oh, he answered. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, what's up? We're sitting there talking. And they're like, yo, when are you coming back to Jersey? Like, when are you going to come back and see all of us? And I said, never. I'm never going back to New Jersey. And they were like, why? I was like, listen, man, why would I go back to Jersey? I said, you just come here. Like, I'll see you in Vegas before I see you in New Jersey. I said, I have no reason to. Like, I love you guys to death, but I'm not going to fly to New Jersey and go down the shore just to see you guys. And he goes, really? Never? I said, listen, the only way that would happen is if I got a paid speaking gig in New Jersey. And I don't think that's even possible. I can't see why anybody would pay me to go speak in New Jersey. So the next morning, I get an email from the University of Rutgers, and they want me to be the keynote speaker. Now, just wait, in September, right, for their annual gun violence thing. And you'll get a kick out of this, Tony, because the theme is unity. So the irony is that they're bringing in a gun guy to be the keynote speaker to unify. To bring the world together. It blows my mind. I didn't get excited at first because I was like, you know what? I bet you, like, most places are going to ask me to do it for free, right? They're going to ask me to do it for free, and I'm going to say no because I'm tired of this. And they're like, listen, we can't pay you much, but what we'll do is we'll cover your flight, we'll cover your hotel, and we can donate $5,000 to Walk Talk America. And I was like, I'm going back to New Jersey. And I literally put it in the universe, and less than 24 hours later, Jersey's like, get your ass back here.
Yep.
Yeah.
When was this, bro? Hold on. This is gonna be great. When was this? How long ago was this?
This is like a month and a half ago. And I'm going.
God
I'm going
damn.
there I'm going in September. That's when I'm speaking.
All right, I wanted to freaking because I actually spoke and had one of the people doing a study at Rutgers at the Gun Violence Research Center at Rutgers come to my diversity shoot last month, 6 weeks ago.
Was his name Mike Anestis?
No, this was Dr. Kim Burke. And
Okay.
she came to the event and she took notes the whole time. And of course, I brought you guys up. So had nothing to do with me, but it's still freaking pretty crazy that they actually, because I took part in a study on black gun ownership that they're doing. They're doing a study on black gun ownership in New Jersey and in Florida. And a friend of mine called me and asked me to be a part of it, told me it should be good for me. So I did. And then I invited them to a diversity shoot. So it seems they're reaching out and actually trying to have those conversations with the firearms community. So I think that's pretty cool. But you still got to know you're dealing with people that are funded by Bloomberg. But still, it's a conversation. There's more than they've done before.
Yeah, and if we don't go there, and because I know a lot of listeners would be like, why do you even like support that stuff? It's like, listen, if you don't go there, they control the narrative completely. And they keep saying the same dumb
100%.
shit that they say over. You have no. So like one of the greatest things that I ever did. Everybody here knows who Rob Pincus is, right? And most of your listeners probably know who Rob Pincus is. And Rob Pincus, he can piss off the most pro 2A person and he can piss off the most anti-gun person. He's an equal opportunist when it comes to making people go nuts. But one of the greatest things that I ever did is I was asked to speak at the Gun Violence Prevention Conference in Seattle. And I was, once again, first gun person to ever speak at that event. So picture like 800 researchers and then 5 gun people. And it was like me, David Yamani, Kenny Barlow from Regal, Rob Pincus, and Bill Broussard from NSSF, right? And it was nice because when I was speaking, I had 5 allies like in the crowd. You know what I mean? 5 familiar faces. But when Rob had told me that he wanted to come, and Rob is one of my most difficult board members. Like he holds my feet to the fire on everything. Because Rob is Rob. And
Rob is Rob.
Yeah. He said, do you have anything in the budget for me to go? And I thought, you know what? For all Rob's done for Walk Talk America, it's like, yeah, like go out there and ride with me. I want you to see it. As soon as we got to the hotel, I was like, I wish the gun industry could see Rob cook. Like it was the greatest decision I ever made because Rob is very intelligent and he loves to argue. Right. So it was like releasing a tiger in a deer habitat, a hungry tiger in a small deer habitat and being like, go. Like I was the only person who was there to speak, like to present. But the joke was Rob was speaking at the end of everyone's presentation in the Q&A. He was literally in line first and he was destroying them because Rob can cite, law cases. I mean, like Rob knows everything. And it was just great to watch this man like literally be there to challenge all of the BS and all of the research that we know is garbage, and hold them accountable and publicly challenge them and to make people backpedal and say, well, okay, yeah, maybe we overlooked that piece. You know what I mean? And when they have to publicly say it. So that's why it's important for us to always show up to these things. We have to be there because they will control narratives and they will say everything. And then it becomes their own negative or positive feedback loop for all their bullshit. Right. You know, we gotta stop it.
100%. And Rob does love doing that, by the way. He loves going in a room and just chucking grenades. That mother. Oh, by the way, Rob's from Jersey too. Does that give you any indication?
I'm starting to see a trend here. You know,
Best money I ever
Yeah,
spent, though. Best money I ever spent taking him with me.
Hey,
I was
I
like,
was-
oh my God. As soon as I was just watching him like a proud parent, I was like, just go. I was like, talk your shit, boy. Go. Ooh, that's a
It is.
bar. He's good.
It is like taking one of those hunting dogs on something. It's like, you holding him back, you holding him back. Go. It's like the Bruin decision. Warren versus DC. Bow, bow, bow. FBI
Yep.
statistics. It's like, good luck, buddy.
yeah.
You can't bullshit Rob.
Oh, Jesus, that's crazy.
Unless you're a woman and then you marry him and he buys your house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's his That's his kryptonite.
I think that's everybody's
What's his-
tonight.
What's his kryptonite? Blondes without a home.
By the way, Tony, are you using chopsticks right now?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah. My maraschino cherries are in the bottom of the jar. What am I, a savage?
Hey, we told you, Mike. You just never know what you're gonna get.
Mike's gonna get off here. He's gonna be calling Jake. These motherfuckers need help.
Yeah, call Tony.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna pop in the screen with Tony.
No.
I was trying to make a Manhattan without all the ingredients. It's like I got bourbon and maraschino cherries. Close enough.
Oh my God.
Oh, Tony, you are something else, brother. Oh man. Well, you brought it a few times, Kids to Kings. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, man. Kids of Kings is a program that I'm very proud of. It was created by Devin Perkins. The backstory is Devin came to interview me at the NRA show, I think in 2019, and basically, I mean, he think about it, it's like 2019. It seems like ages ago, but we were sitting there and he's interviewing. And during the interview, he goes, "What are you doing for the Black community?" And I go, "Absolutely nothing." And he goes, "Why?" And I go, "Nobody needs another." I said this. I go, "Nobody needs another white hero. That Blind Side shit is so played." And because I always watched that movie, The Blind Side, and I thought, that girl would die in 5 minutes if that was true. The minute she threatened the gangsters, they would have killed her, or she'd be working the track or something like that. I was just like, I hate these fucking movies where the white person comes in, I can walk into Compton and be like, "Listen, kids, you need to tend to your mental health and be responsible with a firearm." But anyway, so I told him, and I said, "Why don't you come up with something? And if it's good, I'll help you." And originally what I had meant by that was, I'll teach you how to start a 501c3. I kind of wanted him to do it, and I would just support him and back him. But he came back like a year later and he was like, "Listen, I think I have this thing down. I have a concept." And he told me the concept. And he just wanted to make it a Walk the Talk America thing, which in the end, I was like, I'm happy. It gives me another tool in my toolbox to use, especially when I'm speaking to those crowds that may be gun neutral or anti-gun. But the concept is taking underprivileged, underserved kids and introducing to firearms to them in a healthy manner. But it's not just firearms; it's life, right? Teaching these kids that they could be the next competition shooter, that they could work for Ruger, that they could own a gun shop, using the gun as more like a martial arts, but also incorporating these other aspects of life, like financial literacy, bringing in guest speakers. These kids need to hear from people that look like them, that have been successful in this space. And one of the things that I'm really proud of, because this is our pilot program in Atlanta, and what we want to do is eventually take it across the country and do weekend Kids of Kings programs. But the Atlanta program is great because we kind of get to watch these kids grow up through this program. So some of these kids have been here 2 or 3 years, and this year was the first year we had them at the NRA show. Because it was in Atlanta, so it was convenient, right? We can bring all the kids in. And it was just amazing to watch the reaction to these kids, and to watch these kids, quite frankly, just walk around the show and the way they handle guns. I mean, there was many instances where we'd walk up to say like Beretta and they would just start grabbing guns, and the way they were holding the guns and the way that they were behaving was better than 90% of the people in the damn show. Right. And then you'd watch like the people from the gun companies and they're like, wait, what is this? This is fucking awesome. Like, this is incredible. Like, because the way these kids, they're not only great at handling firearms, but Kevin Dixie and Devin and guys from Gorillas in the Mist, like all the instructors have taught them to be men. So like when they go to shake your hand, they look you in the eye and they tell you their full name. Right. Like, and now we're bringing them around the NRA show, and we're bringing them to Glock, and then they're meeting the owner of Glock, right? And they're meeting the marketing director and the president at Ruger, and basically JJ Racaza and all the other John McClane, all these other competition shooters. And these people are saying, you could be just like me. And that's what kids need to hear. You know what I'm saying? Because now they're like, oh, I can work in this industry. The executive, the owner of Glock said so. The owner of Ruger said so, right? So you're giving these kids hope and giving them a place to go. We have historically been accused of not being welcoming. And dude, I'm going to just point it out. Quite frankly, we've done a horrible job of expanding out and saying you could work here, right? We've gotten so much better as an industry and a culture. We got a long way to go, but I think we're going to get there. And I think like programs like this is how we get there, to make kids that come from the inner city understand that you can get out, you can have a career in this industry. And let's start when you're young, right? Let's get you thinking that way. And we don't just put guns in their hands. They have to go through a process. Their grades are tied to it. Their behavior's tied to it. So we're truly making men out of these kids. And I'm very, very proud of Kids to Kings. And it is also very fun, because when I go speak to a lot of center left crowds and I show them and I tell them what I'm doing, it's like, who in the room is going to say this is a bad idea? Because if you say it's a bad idea, then I'm going to be like, why do you think it's a bad idea? Do you have a problem with little white hunters in orange vests? And then I think people start to go, oh shit, I may be exposing myself as the racist that I am. Right?
Exactly.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
because
You almost made a racist
through it. Yeah, they didn't think through it. And now I'm in front of a whole crowd of people. I'm asking you why you think it's a bad idea that these kids have access to responsible gun ownership and mental health strategy.
Yeah. Showing them and introducing them to professional shooters is pretty cool, but
That was
you
cool.
couldn't introduce them to anybody who wasn't Filipino. John McClane.
I just showed them to all the Filipinos.
Yeah, it's like, great. I got to be Filipino now. I can't even be black. Great.
No, but they met so many different walks of life there. Like they met people that like print their 3D guns, and like one of the kids is really into engineering. So like, that conversation, I saw the kid light up. One of the kids, it was his birthday, man, and literally like we talked to Rob Workmeister, who's a marketing guy at Ruger. First of all, Ruger went above and beyond, and the NRA did too, to be honest. And they didn't even use those opportunities as like photo opportunities, which I thought was really cool, because they could have easily just pretended,
that way.
yeah, and they didn't. But like Ruger, at one point, it was this kid's birthday, and basically we said, "Hey, Rob, can we do something special for him? Like, could maybe get on the microphone or something and shout him out like for his birthday?" And Rob said, "Let's give him a rifle. Tell him to pick one of those rifles on the wall there." And if you go to the Kids to Kings Instagram page or my Instagram page, you could actually see the video when we tell the kid. Kevin Dixie tells the kid, like, "Hey, young man, like, this is your birthday and these people care about you. Pick one of those." And they gave him a $2,000 rifle, like, just for his birthday. So, but it's genius what Ruger did, because basically Ruger being so nice to these kids are going to be so loyal to Ruger, the brand, and these are your future customers and maybe your future employees. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
it's brilliant. But like I said, I just loved walking them around the show and just them making me so proud because of just the way they are, and literally watching people so many people were like, "Dude, that is awesome." So many people. So there were so many people that were like, I wish I had what you have right now. I wish I had access to all this. And you know what I mean? So that's what Kids to Kings is.
Yeah, no, I unfortunately was not at NRA, but I was watching the video clips come out, and it was. I'm just sitting here as friends of you guys and friends of Devin. Like I was like, hell yeah, this is fucking awesome. And it was great to see from my perspective watching the videos, the kids' faces light up. Every time they interacted with JJ Ricazza, like all those interviews were they were great.
Yeah, we had him interviewing people. Like that was also fun too, like watching them interview professionals.
Yeah, it was like JJ Ricazza, Michelle Viscusi. There's a couple other ones that I saw too. And they handled themselves so well, and that like you said, it was just phenomenal to see.
Well, I got to take them to Arms Corps, who provides all the ammo. Right now, I'm shouting out companies, but it was just kind of cool. Like I got to walk them up to the Arms Corps guys and be like, "These are the guys that provide the ammunition for you guys to shoot." Then we ran into Brian Tucker from Davidson's. Right, Brian Tucker's been a big supporter of the Kids of Kings program because he believes in shooting. And he thinks what better way to break into places we haven't gone before, or we've ignored as an industry. So I got to introduce him to Brian Tucker. So Brian Tucker got to see them, and actually meet them. And it wasn't just like everybody donating something, right? And then Ruger. And that was the thing I told the kids, like, these companies did this for you guys. They didn't do it for Walk to Talk America. They donated all this stuff specifically for the Kids to Kings program, right? And like I said, I think Walk to Talk America is all about hope. And it's like, you got to give people hope. You got to give anti-gunners hope that we're doing something. You have to give kids that have brown and black faces an opportunity for hope that you can come here and we be welcoming, and it's a place you could go. Because I think, like I said, historically, people are just like, hey, I like guns, but they don't want me. It's not my place, right? You look around, it's just all the same faces. I mean, hell, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, man, I was like the youngest person ever in the gun industry, and I'm 50, you know? You know what I mean? Like, no, but it's like when I first got into the gun industry, I was like, damn, this is like an old white man convention. And that's what it was. I don't necessarily think like people thought of it that way, right? I think it's always sort of been welcoming. I just think people never thought like, oh shit, we're not being welcoming enough, or we have no outreach to different cultures and communities to say like, come on in. But we are getting better. I don't want people to think that I'm just like pissing all over this thing. No, we're getting much better, but we still got a lot of work to do. And I think getting kids back into shooting sports is the way to do it all, right? Like to do it all is like through the mind of the young kid.
Well, I mean, even like when I was growing up, you had like hunter's education and stuff that was part of your gym class and stuff. So, I mean, just having that education of the safety and, things like that, just from like even the hunting side was a big factor. But I mean, you try to start throwing that stuff in there now, and a lot of people's heads are going to pop off and spin around. So it's huge with what y'all are doing with that. And I think people need to see more of that. And I think a lot of it too, like you're talking about, how it looked not too long ago. I think one thing that hurt is from a collective standpoint, I think we've kind of chosen maybe some of the wrong people for that outreach, and that's kind of hurt us along the way. So that's why I'm glad Clayton brought that up. That was definitely something I was going to want to talk about with that Kids to Kings. And, we're definitely going to have Devin on here to talk about it as well, too. So, sure. I mean, it's huge what y'all are doing, man. And, I know all of us try to put as much light on it as what we can, because it is something that needs to definitely continue to happen, because I think it is expanding our community more into that side than what it's ever been.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And Devin has done a great job. And once again, all those guys like Kevin Dixie and Devin, they don't get paid for this. And the guys from Gorillas in the Mist, right? Like they don't get paid to do this. They literally do this for because it's the right thing to do. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's just, I'm very proud of them and what they put together and those boys. And, I hope I want kids to Queens, right? Like I think like this could be a big deal for all these kids to, you shouldn't have to learn about firearms from a video or from a song or a video game. And these kids want to shoot these guns. They don't want to shoot the old like cricket rifle, right? Like they want to shoot the guns that they know.
Right.
And now you're taking them and teaching them the responsibility aspect, and then also to tend to their mental health and the complex trauma and the PTSD and all those things that, these kids, I mean, some of these kids have been through some shit. You know what I mean? And they could have a negative attitude about firearms, but this gives them an opportunity to embrace the firearm in the Second Amendment. So it's just an awesome program.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I said, I can't say enough
That's the
things
way
about
I look
either.
at it.
Yeah,
Well, what I introduce people to when I talk about it is like, why would you want to introduce children to firearms? And I'm like, one, safety, firearm safety, because kids run across firearms without you knowing it at their friend's house, or sometimes, depending on where you live, especially if you live in somewhere effed up, playground, where people sometimes dump guns when they're running from the cops or when they're stashing guns. Also, people don't know that there are guns stashed around different places. Um, that's the neighborhood gun that you can get to if you're going to do some stuff. Kids running these firearms, at least knowing how to not point it at your friends, knowing how to make it safe, um, makes sense. There's no downside to that. But the other
Right.
thing is shooting sports and the opportunity shooting sports gives a young person. Everybody's not going to be that athlete going to a D1 school. Everybody's not going to get that opportunity that way to change their lives. But shooting sports allows you to compete at a very young age on national and international level and give you opportunities that don't require you to have the greatest hand-eye coordination, be the fastest kid on the block. Uh, and even kids with handicaps can again become international sports stars in this sport and have a great life. And because of the negativity that's attached to firearms ownership in the black community that I found, or in the inner city community, or even in places like Jersey, urban, it's like, wow, you're just taking opportunities that kids have and you throwing them out the freaking window for no reason other than your own prejudice and the bullcrap you've watched and allowed yourself to be propagandized by. So, yeah, we're breaking the work of they're doing there and the work a lot of us are doing to get kids involved is busting that up. And I think it's a good thing. And I think we need to keep doing it in concert with advocacy, in concert with welcoming people from every background into the firearms community, not just the Second Amendment advocacy community, but the firearms community. I mean, when I first went to my first NRA, it really looked like a Klan rally. I mean, there was just nothing but middle-aged or older white dudes, and it seemed like there was only a couple of people that looked like me. And it's hilarious because that was in 2016, but by 2019 it had changed. When we were in Atlanta, I think that was the last time we were in Atlanta, and there were a lot more black people there, and it was cool. But the NRA itself hadn't changed in 2019. They still only had the one black board member, uh, and now that's changing, and the NRA is reaching out and actually putting real advocates on it. And I think that's one of the best changes that can happen because the NRA is the aircraft carrier of Second Amendment organizations. You can't deny that. I mean, they still have more members than all of the other Second Amendment organizations combined. So it's good they changed. I like the way they welcome Kids to Kings and didn't turn it into a photo op because they've been doing that forever. And that was a great culture change right there. And I thought that was awesome. So cool. Great job, Mike.
yeah,
Hey man, thank you. And it's really, like I said, Kevin Dixie and Devin Perkins and the Gorillas and the Mist guys that are really putting in that work. You know what I mean? I just help make it possible, but they're the ones that are actually teaching these kids. So
Yeah, I love watching the videos they put up with them out at the range and stuff.
that's really cool.
It's awesome to see all that, and I think it's good with, especially with social media, with where it's at now, to be able to get that out there more because so many people don't want that to be seen and don't want that to be talked about. So, that's definitely a good thing with the social media and putting that out there like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, the
when
bad
we
part
first
is,
started posting those videos, hold on, you'll laugh at this, Tony. When we first started posting those videos, the only videos that got flagged on my page were those. And at one point, I took a screenshot and I tagged Instagram on it, and I said, "Do we need to have a talk about racism?" Because there's videos of white people shooting on my page, and none of those got flagged. It's only the black kids that are shooting.
Damn.
Throw it back at him, man.
nice.
Throw it back at him.
I just hit review, like review that motherfucker. Like, come on, like, stop. Like, there's nothing. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
what
supposed to
are
be
your
so
community
woke.
standards?
I know, right?
Yeah, what are your community standards that I'm violating? Because I don't know if I want to be part of that community. But the crazy part is some of the pushback I got when you talk about introducing black kids to firearms, or even brown kids to firearms, is from that community. Why would we want them to have guns? And I'm like, why don't you check your biases and prejudices at the window, bro? Because you're throwing opportunities away for these kids and you don't even know this out there. Like you just an entire industry you're willing to throw away any black and then gonna whine, why don't you see black people in that industry? It's like, well, when we tried to introduce them, you bitched about it. It's like, what do you think? They're just gonna come out? Like one of the marketing dude at CZ right now is a black dude. And it was just really funny because I was over there talking to Colt CZ and I was like, hey, well, who's the guy for CZ? And I turned around and it's like this young black dude is in his early 30s. And I was like, huh, didn't expect that. Hey, what's going on? And he's sitting there with a ball cap and everything. And I was like, all right, cool. I mean, that's not something you see all the time. Think about it. A marketing guy at a major firearm, especially one that's based in Europe.
Yeah,
But
yeah, right. CZ being from Czech Republic, and yeah, I mean, I think you're. I mean, you got Chris Toomer who owns a gun company, right? Ross
yeah,
Martin.
yep.
I mean, you're gonna. It's just a matter of time. Like I said, like all these kids from Kids of Kings, I guarantee that most likely they're gonna apply for jobs in the gun industry. I mean, they had such a good
Why not?
time. Yeah, so it's just
It's
like, look,
there.
yeah. I mean,
The sad part is you might want to warn them once you get in the gun industry. You probably never get out.
that's true.
You'll never
It's true.
get
The
out.
gun industry, the faces, the people of the gun industry don't change. It's the banner behind them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
Well, how long do you get being? How do you go to a headhunter? Well, where have you worked? Colt CZ. Colt CZ. What's the name? Arrow Precision. Ruger.
right.
You work for nothing but gun companies. Yeah. For how long? 15 years. Yeah, dude. Somebody. No. No.
I'll tell you
No
what. If this doesn't
headhunter's
work
gonna
out
go.
at
Yeah.
Walk to Talk America, you'll see me at Ruger. Ruger has been so good to Walk to Talk America, and they don't. I'm like a puppy dog that wants to show them that I'm doing good in the world, and they're just like, "Hey, we love you. Like, keep doing your thing." But like, I want to please you. You know what I mean? Because like a lot of gun company, it took years to get to where we're at now. But I mean, this has been building for years. But Ruger's support is the reason why Walk to Talk America exists, and that group of people, I can't shout them out enough, or like make. Like if you ever have some money to burn, you're just looking to do something, you want to support a good company, buy something from Ruger, because they are genuinely good people, and they want to see healthy gun owners, and it's not just the Kids of Kings program; it's everything Walk Talk America. So I can't say enough about Ruger. I jokingly, I walked out of NRA. I said, guys, like, I'm gonna get a Ruger tattoo from here to here, and I said, "Is there anybody you need me to kill? Like, do you have a problem with
Nice.
somebody else, like Glock or just?"
Nice. Nice. I just find it funny that Ruger, the people that didn't know who Larry Vickers was, knew who Kids the Kings were. It's like, Larry, who? Yeah, we don't know you, guy. Oh, Kids the King, come on over here. Point out the wall, take a gun. But that's really cool, dude. And people
Yeah,
don't understand. I don't think people understand how much of a relief it is to have a company believe in your idea that you're trying to do good. And then almost on the power of a handshake, they were like, yeah, here, we want to partner with you. I know when it happened to me, I'm like, I don't know when to stop talking. I felt like a Jehovah Witness that got in the house. I'm just standing there going, I've never gotten this far before. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's like you already got the sale, but you just keep trying to sell the person, and they're like, "Leave me alone." Like, no, but it's true, man. Listen, I tell gun companies, manufacturers, you don't have to just donate money to me. Like, find a way that you could work with Walk to Talk America. So we have manufacturers that only put the card in the box, right? We have manufacturers that only do social media joint collaborations. Then we obviously have the manufacturers and distributors that financially help us. But I mean, I get turned down by a lot of companies. You'd be surprised that won't even like donate a gun to an auction. And these are multi-million-dollar companies. Do you know what donating a gun costs them? It's like if you guys asked me if you could borrow $5 and I said no.
Right.
Mhm.
And then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there, you know, when you get that company that really believes in your mission, and I get it. Like, I owned a gun company. I know what it's like to be at SHOT Show and have people come up always asking you for stuff. But come on, like, you know, the cost of donating a gun is nothing, especially when you're a multi-million-dollar company that has a military contract. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Exactly.
Want to drop any more hints, bro?
Guns go off on themselves sometimes.
Believe me, I was gonna say it.
Maybe.
Oh God. Oh man. Yeah.
You're not saying.
Oh, I was gonna say it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was glorious
Oh.
because yes, I've dealt with them too, and it was like I was asking to sleep with their daughter.
It's heartbreaking. I know the old president. I mean, like, it's heartbreaking. You literally think you're on punked. Like, are you serious? You're all stocked up. Like, you can't donate a gun.
Right.
I mean,
No,
at the
why
volume
don't you
that
give
they
me back
do.
one of the ones that was recalled? Why don't you give me back one of the ones that was recalled? I'll take that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't understand. Like, one of the things that I don't understand is, like, okay, like, let's forget Walk Talk America. Let's talk about, like, diversity shoot, right? Like the PR that you'll get from that, the positive PR that you'll get for supporting a 2A person. In this industry, we have this tendency to want to just help vets. It's like we've been trained to only help vets, and vets need help. I get it, but vets are also very capable people, and there's a million different organizations, right? Like, we have to do stuff for gun owners too. So we help vets. One of the best things about Walk Talk America is the support I get from vets. Right? I always ask them, like, why do you like Walk the Talk America? Because it's for gun owners. They say that. I mean, that's the feedback. Like, it doesn't just like separate us like we're these wounded ducks. You know what I mean? That can't think. And that's what I want the industry to understand is we've done really well at supporting veteran groups and organizations, but we have done nothing for gun owners and bringing new people into gun world. It's like we forget about all the rest. So you take 22 a day and subtract that out, you still have 52 people that take their life with a firearm that also need help, and they also need resources, and they also trust you, Ruger, or, you know, Bursa. And so you need to get involved and help with just all humanity. And that's what's great about doing it under guns, is because the Venn diagram, you have first responders, you have veterans, you have active duty military, you have the weekend warrior. You know what I mean? Like, we got to get better at that, being philanthropic to all the great organizations in the industry that are homegrown and have the same belief system that every single person that is 2A till they die has. You know, I'll get off the soapbox there, but
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely something that needs to be said. I mean, that's a soapbox that needs to be, stood on, because you're right.
It's
I
really
mean,
frustrating. It's really frustrating because when I do my elevator speech, I don't put in that I'm a veteran. You know what I mean? That's pretty much, in my opinion, is relevant to what
You're
we're
not a
trying to
two-time
do.
Afghan.
Oh, well, I mean, I
maybe
found
you
now.
should start off by saying you're a veteran. You might get a little bit more attention. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say it, but
See, that's one thing
Yeah.
I've always kind of been a little leery of is, to me, it almost seems like I'm showboating when I talk about that, or not really showboating, but trying to say I'm better than somebody when I talk about that. So it's not something that I really talk about either. And that's kind of what's made me kind of hold back on that is trying to make it seem like I'm better than somebody because I was in the military.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I
it's
don't
true.
feel like, but I don't feel like that when I talk to veterans. I don't. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when Devin said what he's doing for the Black community. He's like, I got to do this. I got to make this universal for all gun owners because it doesn't work if I just say I do it for this group. You know what I mean? I
Right.
like that was my thought process. I was like, well, what about everybody that owns a gun? You know what I mean? What about the president of my company in 2009 who took his own life because he didn't think he could get help because he didn't, things went sideways. So it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like the industry, it's not us, right? I'm talking about the manufacturers need to kind of expand and broaden their horizons. I mean, there's so many great organizations out there. I mean, obviously with the work you guys are doing, Tony, but take Derek LeBlanc from Kids Safe, right? Why can't he get any love? You know what I mean? He's bringing in new shooters, little kid, bringing kids to his program, and he's walking around the show getting frustrated just because people act like they're excited. And I know what that's like. Every meeting goes great. It's the follow-up that doesn't. You know what I mean? Everybody says, oh, this is so important and we need this. And then all of a sudden you're calling a week later trying to follow up from SHOT Show or NRA Show, and these people are acting like they don't know who you are or they're ghosting you.
Well, then I think some of it, too, you kind of start finding out who's really in charge as well. When you think you're talking to who's in charge, then you really find out that week later that after is not who you thought it was.
Chris, what is going on over there?
Somebody has a peanut butter addiction, it sounds like.
No. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
Hey, Chris, is somebody working with your small staff over there at Tactical Santas?
No,
it's your dog?
Yeah.
It's your
dog. Come on, Chris. Say it. Say it, motherfucker.
No.
Say it.
Well, I do the editing, so I don't have to worry about it. That's my dog in the water. I do the editing, so I don't have to worry about it.
Should we inform Mike how I put my fucking foot in my mouth last episode?
No, I think we should let him be surprised and find it in the episode.
Yeah.
But no, there are water bowls right over there, so one of them was getting water. I was trying to mute it before y'all heard it.
So I knew where who was doing what, Chris? Yeah, go ahead, buddy. You ain't editing this.
I did not have sexual relations with that dog.
Why is there a jar of peanut butter on your shelf?
There's a half a jar of peanut butter on his shelf.
Did I forget to take that down?
Yeah. At least we know his dog doesn't have peanut butter out. Hold on, Chris. I'll get it for you. Hold on. All right, I got it, buddy. I got it.
I love that Tony has everything. You are the carrot top of the every prop he can. What do you want? Chopsticks? I got you. Soy sauce? I got you. Nutella? I got you.
He is the jack of all trades right there.
He's the black carrot top. What else you got over there?
Hey, Mike, sometimes it's better not to ask that question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You do know who you're dealing with, right, Mike? Oh, my God. Oh,
need shit. A post-coital smoke?
My God.
Oh, Jesus.
Hold on, because this is the worst thing possible, bro. Hey, listen, is it your first time? Want a cigar?
Oh, me.
Oh, man, I forgot we were on.
I know, right?
Oops.
I got a couple of something I was looking at when you were talking about the survey. I went and was looking up some of these results and stuff. And I'm really shocked at one of the questions that you ask in the survey.
Which one?
And I think but I think it's good. I'm not saying shocked as in a bad way. I think it's good. But how many professional trainings have you attended in the past year? I think that was
I love it.
a really, really good question, because I think that's one thing a lot of people don't talk about is that after effect of having to use, and I don't want to say a gun, but just deadly force in self-defense.
Right.
You know, the mental aspect that has on a lot of people. And I wasn't shocked at the results when I saw that question. I was totally expecting the results that I saw.
What is the results in that, Chris? Just because I don't have it pulled up.
So there were 23, so 2,423 responses. 1,530 have no professional training. 415 have one class. 355 have 2 to 3. 74 have 4 to 7. 16 have 7 to 10 classes, and 33 had more than 10 classes. So that's really where I was expecting that to go. But I'm glad you put that on here, because I know we always talk about training being, coaches in this industry, but I think it's definitely good to add that in, because I do think that can help with that after effect some of having that professional training to help you understand what it's going to be like. Because I think a lot of people don't understand. And I think it gets, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but everybody looks at that Hollywood moment for that situation. And I think once you actually have training, you understand it's not that going to be that Hollywood moment that you think it's going to be. And really how close it's going to happen to really help people understand how personable that's really going to be in that situation.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And like, just for anybody, you guys, the listeners, if there is a question that you would like added to the survey, like I said, we're going to build on this every year. We're going to do actually more surveys and get more information. So don't hesitate to reach out to Walk Talk America and be like, hey, like, for anybody who's listening to this is curious, go check out that survey right now, right? And look at all those questions that were on there. And then if there's one that you think is missing or one that you would like to see, reach out to us. Because we want to keep building on that. We want to keep finding information from real gun owners, like, that are willing to give it to us. So,
and I'll put the link to the survey on the screen here, and we'll make sure we put it in the description as well too. Because when you mentioned that, I went in here and was just kind of looking through. I think these are all really great questions. I don't know if I love the training one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could really think of anything else to add with what y'all got here, but I think it's great that you're looking for, help with that on questions that would be good to ask. So,
it's eye opening to kind of see some of the like there's a lot of stuff that we kind of knew, but it confirmed, right? It confirmed to us what we were thinking, because I would always get the crazy. I'm sitting on stage and then somebody quotes some crazy survey and I'm like, where did you find these people to ask this question of? You know what I mean? Like, gun owners in San Francisco or something like that. Like maybe,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, but it's just not the general, it wasn't my world. It wasn't the people that I'm used to talking to, whether that's, just the people in the culture or the people that work in the gun industry, or just like the people that are attending shows. It just didn't seem to resonate or translate. It didn't seem like those are things that somebody would say, right? And you always see it. It's vague. 9 out of 10 gun owners believe in common sense gun laws. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Or did you ask a question so you can manipulate it and get a certain answer?
Well, they know what demographic to go to, because I think there are still some on that side that do own guns, but they also feel you shouldn't own a gun. It's kind of like it. I don't like to say, necessarily hypocrisy there, but it's kind of like you. It's just, I don't know. It's so backwards for me. If you're going to own one, but then sit there and say you shouldn't be able to own one. I just don't get that mentality. But you're right. They know who to talk to and who to ask these questions to get the answer that they want, instead of having it just an open-ended, anonymous survey, because they know they're probably not going to get the answer that they want.
I think a lot of researchers, and I don't want people to think that they're all this way. I hate the general talk, right? Because it's not the case. But I think a lot of researchers put advocacy first and make their research their advocacy, when you should never do that. Your advocacy should not play a part in what you're trying to figure out. So if you're kind of asking questions to try to jump to some conclusion, like I want to show how many people are saved by red flag laws, or what people think about it, you're going to ask it a certain way. I want people to ask real questions, and I want them to ask real gun owners, since it seems like we're being pushed to the center stage of this research. But I feel like there's a lot of questions that we need to ask of them, like how are they coming to these conclusions? And one of the things that drives me crazy, and it was a big point of contention for me at the research conference, was the whole, guns are the number one killer in youth. And the way that they got there is they take 0 to 1 and they throw that out, that's unbelievable. It says babies are bulletproof. Babies can be shot by negligence. Babies can be shot on purpose, right? Murder, suicide. Why are you taking them out? Well, I know why you're taking them out, because that's going to make your number, grow substantially, because babies usually don't get shot, right? And then they go all the way to 19, which really pisses me off too, because a 19-year-old, we say that at 18, you can star in a porno. At 18, you could go overseas with a machine gun and actually fight for this country and kill people. You can vote. You can work at a strip club, right? All these things, that means we have a huge moral compass problem in this country if we're going to count a 19-year-old as a child.
Right.
To me, let it go up to 17 or whatever. I'll play the game, go up to 18. But I think I know why they put that extra year in there, right? Yep. Because a lot of people that are in the streets are 19 years old and they're dying by gunplay. You know what I mean?
Not only that, I think it's a lot of them at that age have graduated from high school, and there's still a lot of confusion going on and stuff.
Yeah, but it's a bad number. You can't say.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And what, like I said, you can't say you're ready to vote and you're ready to star in a bukkake film and you're ready to go overseas and kill with a machine gun, and but you're still a child.
I know one thing though. Many people don't know what job they could have in the future, especially if they join the military. I'll tell Mike right now, if you're ever in the military, career planner is something you need to leave off. Hey, if you turn 18, you can go do a porn or go overseas and kill people or work at the strip club. Nothing else.
Well, it's just hey, listen.
Wait. Why are we talking about Chris's resume again? Seriously.
Nice. Right. Damn, it is. That's crazy, bro. But you're 100% right. And one of the things that annoys me.
Autobio Pornhub.
Yep. We found it. We typed in Santa, tactical Santa. One of my issues when they continually call college students kids. The kids. And I'm like, well, let's go ahead and call them what they really are when they're on a college campus, military age adults. Now, all of a sudden, that changed everything, right? Because those same people, especially if they were male, had to freaking sign up for selective service. Those are military-aged adults. They are not children. They are not kids. Stop calling them that for your political purposes.
Right. That's the agenda, to push gun violence to number one. But what they don't realize is, Walk the Talk America doesn't care if it's number 7 or number 1. We still are going to tackle it. We're still on it. You're not inspired. Like I said, it just feels like there's an agenda there, right? And to me, it shouldn't matter. It should be real, because I think you're doing a disservice. It's just like the term gun violence. You're doing a complete disservice to every pocket of gun violence, right? I like to say negative outcomes of firearms, right? But suicide has a different answer than inner city violence. And then when you just lump it all together, like this shows you really don't care, because there's a solution that you only care about for a certain group of people. You don't really care about stopping negative outcomes of all firearms.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. They're good with it. And when you bring that up, you're somehow a jerk. And I'm like, I'm not a jerk. You're the ones that's doing this. You're the one that's fine with it, as long as you don't want to do anything to stop the street violence, but you're 100% happy to use the results of it to push your political agenda. And that's one of the reasons when I point out about 35% of the firearms related deaths or gang on gang violence. You don't hear them talk about any of that. What is it, 30? Is it 30 or 35%?
Well,
It's over
homicide.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's over 30%. And they don't talk about that. And then when I bring it up, I also bring up walk the talk. And I was like, the firearms industry itself have more people concerned about these deaths than the anti-gunners who's supposed to so much care about it. But you can't find one program they have any. And even when they tried to get into gun safety, it fell apart on them immediately. It fell apart on them when they tried to do the gun safety thing.
Yeah, that's their kind of like backdoor way of and you know, it's some of the messaging, like, to be fair, like some of the messaging, like if you played a clip of them talking and then you played a clip of me talking, we're saying the exact same thing. The difference is in
Mm-hmm.
the end, the butt, right? like the butt, and their butts are always
Mm-hmm.
big. Like it's always, you know, the vague terms like the common sense gun laws and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. It just gets so tiring. But it's like I said, you know, back full circle, going back to what we said earlier. That's why it's so important to have the conversations and be in the rooms, because man, when they go and you see how they move and you see how sneaky they are. You know, I think about the time that I got asked to speak at the Moms Demand Action event, and I don't know if you remember, Tony, but I took so much shit online because they had me on the flyer, and I was kind of like, "Why are you booing me? Like, I'm. They want me to come speak there. I'm going to destroy their narrative." And I remember the gun collective all came after me, and they wouldn't even give me their platform to go talk about what I saw up there, which, you know, I had insider information after I saw how they move up there and how sneaky they are and what they do and how they play on emotions of people and get them to do things. You know, and it worked out in the end. It really worked out because all the media there gave Walk to Talk America all the attention. And, you know, being that I kicked it off and was able to speak in front of that crowd who I knew was just gun ignorant, most of the people, you know, young students, you know, it just changed the whole dynamic of it when I brought attention back to suicide, and I got to go up there and say, common sense gun laws, I like to think of them as feel good legislation that doesn't do anything. And here's what the gun industry is doing to actually do something. So we have to get out of that. You can't talk to those people. It's just a buzzsaw. You're walking into it. They're going to touch your arm and like a zombie make you anti-gun. No, I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I saw it. I saw it when it happened. And you know, these are people I know. These are people I call friends of mine, but they don't want. Oh, you should never speak to anybody outside because they can use your words against you. But I don't want to hear from you when you come back because you know you could have been used by somebody else. Well, he wasn't. And why don't you want to hear about what happened? It's like, understand, everybody ain't built for this because some of you people can only know bumper sticker logic. You can have a deeper conversation. And it seems you don't even want to have anybody who can have that deeper conversation to represent the firearms industry in those rooms. It's like you want to be angry about it, but you don't want to do anything about it for real. You don't want to do any outreach. You don't want to talk to anyone. You just want to stay in your echo chamber and be the big fish in the little pond instead of go out and maybe bring other people in and have other people see you. Because here's what I found one of the difficulties is in the firearms community itself. They want it to grow and they want to be seen as respected, but they definitely don't want anyone that has a different opinion than them or a different perspective than them.
yeah,
That's the
I
problem.
100% agree with that. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of them want to throw out, well, if you factor out suicides, this number is really low. But then it's like, if you're going to talk about
Okay.
that, let's talk about what's being done to help address that instead of just throwing that statistic out. You turn into that statistic game where, all right, we're just throwing statistics out there. What are we doing to actually solve that?
Right.
So I think this is exactly what's being done to solve that right here. And I wish there was just outside of us way to get so much more light on this, than what's already, been shined on it.
Yeah, I think to me, like the tides are turning a little. I have a good relationship with CNN. There's a reporter from CNN that has quoted me in a few articles that has actually been super fair. And is a fan of Walk the Talk America, believe it or not. Right. I have people from the Guardian. I like you're starting to see certain things that you never saw before.
Right.
But I think we just got to continue to do what we do and really have that conversation, understand your talking points. I get it because a lot of gun people have these like things that they'll say. I did a video recently where I was kind of like on the soapbox of, when people like, I've seen it happen where people are like, well, I've seen like researchers ask that question, like, what do you recommend besides like, if you don't like red flag laws, what do you recommend? And people will go like, there's so many laws on the books that you could use, right? Like that's a talking point. And then I've seen it happen where they're like, well, what law? There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
You need to be able to say a law, like say a law. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of people get lazy and they just repeat what they hear, but then they don't really look into it.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
you're right.
that's
Yeah.
one of the things that you spoke. And I was like, yeah, red flag laws already exist under different names in different states. And if you threaten someone, here's the crazy part for me. If you say I threaten you, the police used to, prior to red flag laws, they come and they check it out. And if I was a viable threat, they take me away. They
Right.
take me away and have me evaluated. And if I was still a problem, they'd have me locked up and I'd be away from you, secured. With red flag laws, they take my firearms, leave me my car keys, leave me every knife in the house, leave me every other way I could possibly harm you, and walk away with my firearm. Congratulations. You just took the easy road away. Now you have no idea how I'm coming after you. You just know. I'll go rent a car. You'll never even see my vehicle. You know
Yeah.
what I
And
mean? And definitely,
what's more insulting
yeah,
too is that they leave you and they don't even care about you.
Exactly.
So it's like, if you're going to
yeah,
come take my firearm away, come get me help too. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
come
that's true
get
too.
me help me. Like, don't just leave me. There's plenty of ways I could take myself out or take other people out. But it's kind of like a slow slap to the face, right? Because like, you're right. They don't care about the bleach. They don't care about the rope. They don't care about the garage door or the pool. They don't care about the aspirin. They don't care about any of that. They just want your firearms and they take your shit and they look at you and they're like, good luck out there. Hopefully you'll go to court and get your due process and get them back. I mean, it's a very flawed thing, and I think every one of us on here knows that there are certain times when someone should not have their firearm, right? We know that. It's not like we have to be told that, right? But crisis is temporary most of the time. People just got to be able to get the help. They're more concerned with taking your shit than getting you help. Makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Because
in
it's
the
a
name of
political
what
agenda.
it's in the name of what they're trying to do with it, gun control.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not calling it gun safety. They're not calling it person safety or anything like that. It's in the name of what they, plain and simple, they just want control. They don't care what your mental health is. They just, as long as they can get control, that's all they care about.
Yeah. And we had in kind of talk about, since we're talking about the red flags, I had a friend of mine. It was just her and her husband in the garage talking and about their business, and the neighbor, as soon as the red flag laws passed in Minnesota, called it in saying that they were a threat because they're hunters. They have shotguns in the house, they have other guns in the house, and they got hit with a red flag order. No,
Yeah.
they had to spend like, I don't know, a shit ton of money to get it, get it reversed and They got all their shit back, but it was a fight to make it happen.
Yeah, and that only benefits like people that can afford to do it, right? Think about how many people are just like, I'm out, I can't. There's nothing I can do to fight this.
Yeah, fuck it, I'm screwed.
Yeah,
But it's like you said, those red flags are dangerous, and people, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Well, in New
guys.
Jersey, what they're trying to do.
Did we solve it? we know what the problem
Yeah,
is.
right.
We all got quiet.
In New Jersey,
You're like, huh.
well, I was waiting for a pause. No, but in New Jersey, what they're trying to do is pass a new one now that not only do they take your firearms, they take your firearm accessories. They take your like case. They take your
Damn.
slings. They take your freaking weapons mounted like. The thing is not about keeping you safe. It's like, what the hell does my sling have to do with anything? What the hell does my rifle case have to do with anything? What's the other three optics I
taking
have
my
sitting on the
holster.
shelf do? No, they're taking every firearms related item that you have to keep you safe. And then, of course, when you ask them to explain it, because I mean, I've gone
They
and
can't.
testified in the New Jersey Assembly and the Senate, they've got nothing. They can't answer any questions, and they can't even be insulted because you have no idea what you're talking about. Like you have no clue. Your ignorance is friggin' total on this particular topic, but you have no problem passing a law. You're helping no one, and you're a failure at your job, and I'm willing to educate you. I'll give you my number. I'll give you my contact information. I invite you out to learn about firearms. And I've done this. And so has, I think, every third advocate that went up and spoke. They invited them out to the range to learn about the thing that they were passing the law about. No one has ever been taken up on it.
Mm.
Not one. Because it's a political agenda and they're doing it to keep their freaking jobs. That's all. Because if they know they actually showed a backbone and stood up, they would get primaried by their own party. Their party would support someone, not them, come primary, and they'd be gone.
Well, and the other thing too is they're getting smart about how they're naming this stuff. They're not really calling it red flag laws anymore. You've got what is it? I think they were trying to call it here extreme
Risk protection.
risk
protection orders.
Yeah. They were trying, because I know the city of Columbia has passed red flag laws within city limits, and now they're trying to pass it through the state, or they're trying to send it up through the state. But yeah, that's what I was looking at, is they're looking to call it that extreme risk protective order, which also here's one I find a little amusing. It doesn't really say what state, but firearms restraining orders.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like really?
Yeah, I mean, ERPOs, red flag laws, they're going to change it. It's all the same. They're all written in the same vein. I don't know. It is very frustrating because, like I said, I live in a world where I know for a fact there's a ton of people that are just avoiding getting help or they're afraid to. And it's when you see it, like when you're the one handling the calls, like the call center, and then the rest of the country is like, these things are great. They save so many lives. And every time I try to ask them, like, because they'll give you statistics. They'll say like, hey, we saved or stopped, 78 incidents. And I'm like, okay, how did you collect that data? Like, how do you know you saved somebody? Like, the only way that I could actually, like, in my mind get there is if somebody said, thank God you guys red flagged me because I was going to shoot that school up, or I was going to take my own life, or, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure they're not getting that detailed. I'm sure there's some kind of like measurement of success that they add that to. Oh, we saved another one, when the person probably was like, I was never going to do anything like that. I don't know. It's just,
you bring up this, the school shooter, and I kind of want to touch on that episode you guys did with.
Oh, was that? Yeah. Did you see it? Did you hear that one?
To the punch.
Oh,
Beat me to the punch. I was just getting ready to ask the same thing.
I know.
I knew somebody was going to bring it up.
No, but I want to touch on that conversation because I'm the one, I think I told Tony and Chris both about it, and I watched it, man, and listened to it. And it was a good interview. Like, it was really, really good because you got that perspective from the other side,
Yeah.
And it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, Chris, if you want to add to it, go ahead. So I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
I'm glad you brought it up because I think it is an episode that everybody needs to go. Matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and tag it at the end of the podcast here, so you can go. I think everybody needs to go and watch it. I mean, honestly, man, I wish that interview could have been played at a national level, because it was a really, really great interview, and to hear, you know, a lot of what he had going on and stuff. So, I mean, it was great, man. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I didn't. There's a lot of people that had mixed feelings about that, right? Because it's like, are we giving a person who did something horrific a platform? But to me, I think we needed to have that conversation, because like, how many people get to say like they interviewed a mass shooter or somebody that was going there to attempt that, right?
I didn't see it as that putting them on that platform. It was one of those, you're trying to understand what pushed it to that point. Like if to me, putting them on that platform is when you start making movies and TV shows and documentaries. That's a lot of the stuff I don't agree with in that aspect, is putting them on those platforms like that. But no, what you did was absolutely phenomenal, because it lets you, like I said, it lets you see what was going through their minds. And I think that's what a lot of us miss out on. And we don't, I think there's also a lot that don't want to understand that. So yeah, I knew when I saw that coming out, I was like, I knew the reviews were probably going to be 50-50 on both sides. But
yeah, we did. We got some emails.
So 100%. I would not be surprised on what was said in some of those emails. But no, it was a great interview, man. I'm really glad y'all went and did that.
Yeah. And even when I brought it up,
even though I didn't agree with what one of the things he said, I think he said he wouldn't have been. He doesn't think armed teachers would be a deterrent.
Well, I think we look at armed teachers as somebody who could stop the shooter, right? I think what he was saying was, it wouldn't have deterred me from my mission, because my mission was suicide. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So cool. No. So because I was, when he said that too, I had to pause, because I was like, okay, all right, that's interesting to me, because I believe that mass shootings are suicide turned outwards. So I think what happens with a lot of mass shooters is they go there to die in their mind. Now, whether they pussy out or not is a different story, right?
Right, yeah.
Kid from Parkland, whatever. But I think the initial goal is suicide turned outwards. They're going to take as many people with them, cause as much trauma, all those things. So I think what he was saying was very fascinating. But see, that part right there, Tony, is one of the things that I think we could take from that, because I think we get caught up in the whole like, well, if they knew there were armed guards there, they wouldn't go there. The two mass shooters that the potential one, and I wasn't on that episode, that Jake, I did one and Jake did one, right? Jake's guy, he's done TED Talks and all that stuff. They both had the same feeling. An armed guard wouldn't have stopped them. They went there to die. They could have killed a lot of people in that thing. We know that an armed guard can stop that before it even happens, but it's just the intent, right? Like that's the way we got to look at it.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but I'm cool with that.
Yeah. When I was telling people about the episode, I even saw the mixed reactions. You're like, wait, what? I'm like, just go listen, go watch it. Just trust me on this. And I had some people like, wait, why would they do that?
Yeah.
Like, you need to, because you need to understand, the mission. Why? And I thought it was great.
I did too, and I could tell, like. I watched it, he was getting emotional, you know what I mean? Like, and it was crazy, because like, there's just certain things that, like, one of the things that really stood out to me is like, he was not mad at his mother, right? He's like, my mom was a good lady. And obviously his mom had issues and all of the shit that we, no one's perfect, but him lying and convincing his mom that they need to have a gun because he really loves shooting and it's something that's therapeutic to him. And then him watching how his mother locks that gun up so he could get to access to that gun. Like those are like cautionary tales that I think every gun owner needs to understand, because he fooled his mother. You know what I mean? She got lazy and wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And like with technology coming out, like that's a lesson we all can take from that episode is like, man, I really got to think about my kid watching me lock this gun up or putting this gun away to make sure that they're not just taking notes and saying like, okay, you know, when dad's not home, I know how to get to that damn thing to do it. You know, like I think there's a lot of things that we could learn from him. And you know, just him saying like, yeah, like a gun alert, you know, we had Patrick Britannia on the show, like in conjunction with it, because I think Patrick has a really great product because it's just like real time showing where your gun is going down the street. You know, like using that technology, like we can get to a point as gun owners where if this technology becomes affordable, like we should never have an excuse where someone got one of our guns and took it out of the house and used it, especially one of our own kids. Right. But I felt like he was very sincere and sorry. And I mean, dude spent 17 years of his life locked away, you know, like, you know, and now he feels like he's been put on this earth to share that message, and he was ready for it. And I told him, like, I don't know if you guys heard that part, but I was kind of like, man, the trauma you caused so many people, like, even though you didn't shoot them, I'm like, you don't know how many drinking problems like you may have caused. You don't know how many divorces, like your actions, you know what I mean? Like people that just play that nightmare. I mean, when he tells the story about when he walked out of the bathroom and he had the shotgun and that kid turned the corner and saw the shotgun and he was like, God damn. Like the kid knew, like, I'm probably going to die right now. Holy shit. You know what I mean? That kid's never going to be the same.
Right.
Like, yeah. So I don't know, but I'm glad you guys liked the episode.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, as somebody that works in DOC, I'll go ahead and tell you, these dudes that do stuff like this, right? And they see it as, I don't know him. So I'll go ahead and just talk about some of these guys. They see themselves as a victim too. You know what I mean? Like everything that's done to them in prison is horrible. Anytime they're inconvenienced. What did my partner say? He said they minimize what they've done to others and over exaggerate everything that's done to them. And I'm listening to him and I'm like, yeah, does he realize how much life trauma he caused with every aspect? It could even be generational trauma that you caused with that. I mean, that kid that you pointed a gun at that knew he was, I mean, there's no way that kid didn't look at that and go, wow, I'm going to die now. And you just walked past him. You think he was okay the next day? Is he?
No.
Yeah.
And you never know how that manifests itself. I mean, the kid could have went on, and it seems like he just is this guy who loves to do daring stuff, right? He joined the military. He went special forces. He base jumps. He does all this. That might be because he faced death in a bathroom hallway in a high school, bro. You never know. Like he can't have a serious relationship because he's always living on. You just never know. And this is me just using an overactive imagination, but understanding that things add up and mean things. Nothing that happens in a vacuum.
Yeah, like every parent at that school, he traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Like every single parent, he traumatized. Like you know, the Kevin Reichards of the world, like his kids were in Parkland, right? Like that dude every day now knows what it feels like that, oh my God, my kid was right there, like so close to death, and I was hopeless. I couldn't do anything. Like,
how's this one? I blame that son of a gun at Parkland for creating David Hogg. Like, if you hadn't done that, we wouldn't be afflicted with this asshole.
Yeah, that's
just saying. Keep in mind, that's why we know this person.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and he's trying to run the DNC, bro. Like, think about that.
Hey, don't worry, they're kicking him out. That's they've already like bent the rules to get him out. So,
bro, did you hear one of the statements by the guy that was there with him? He yeah, he's trying to make everything about him. And I'm like, yeah, it's his MO. How do you think we know him? Welcome
Yeah,
to the club.
exactly.
He
Exactly.
wasn't even
You
in
know,
school that day, bro.
But
do you, do you-
we joke, we kind of joke about that, but that could have been somebody that, if that didn't happen, they could have been an advocate for guns. You know,
we don't use enough of our own. Look, listen, we talked about Kids of Kings. We don't have to talk about it again, but I'm telling you, like in Denver recently, all of these legislative sessions, they parade these kids out that were in mass shootings.
mm-hmm.
We need to start parading the Kids the Kings out,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
100%.
Like
100%.
Yes.
start having kids come out and say, well, let me tell you my story with firearms and what it did to change my life in a positive manner.
Right.
But we got to get offensive, because we got to stop being on the defense. Like, we got to start thinking like they do, and not being like dirty about it, but like doing these honest things. Like I said, you're going to bring out Parkland kids. I'm bringing the kids from Atlanta, from Kids to Kings,
Right.
all 8 of them.
We got to be more proactive than reactive.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's where
Yeah, we can't
a lot of the
win.
struggles
You don't.
is. Go ahead, Tony.
You don't. You don't win a. You don't win a. You don't win a war by just doing defensive fight. Like that's the longest, hardest, dirtiest way to win a war, especially when it's not. There's not logistics involved. You know what I mean? Like you can fight a defensive war if your enemy's at the end of a long supply line. If you can make it politically unacceptable, that's the way you can win a defensive war. But this ain't that. This is them sitting here using television, using social media, using all means of communications to propagandize against us. And many gun owners just willing to sit down and take it easy. Like currently, what's happening, the acceptance of the Republican Party doing almost nothing to actually push pro-gun legislation. It's like, bro, we can't do that. We have to, when we have the ball, we have to push the Overton window completely to the other side. And I'm not talking about defund the ATF. I could give a damn about the ATF if you get rid of NFA. ATF can go around worrying about tobacco products as far as I care, because once you get rid of the NFA, I don't care what they do, because the whole firearms thing will drop right off. So
Yep.
yeah, they can go
It'll
police
be AT.
fireworks and tobacco products. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely is something that we need to have a better strategy, especially, because it's right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's right there. Just use it. But I think what happens is when we get our party, and I don't even want to speak for a lot of gun owners because it's not their party. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of
It's not.
people there's a lot of libertarians out there. There's a lot of liberals that own guns now. But like, everybody gets lazy, and we get to this point where we think like this stuff isn't still happening, but like Colorado is a perfect example of this stuff is still going down, and Trump ain't there to protect Colorado. He didn't stop. There's nothing that's been stopped there. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, you have your wonder guy, right? Your wonder boy, and the savior, and this stuff is still getting passed in certain states.
Well, it goes back to
The war on us is not over. It's not
Right.
over.
Well, it goes back to like, them talking about like the Roe versus Wade thing and all that. If we look at that side, and I'm like, well, your own people had everything and could have gotten this stuff passed and solidified, but they didn't do anything. And now it's really kind of happening. Now the shoe's kind of on the other foot. It's happening to us, where we've got everything. I mean, why is this stuff not getting put through? I mean, this should be no questions asked. I mean, it's not. It's like they talk about. I can't remember who I was watching the other day when they were talking about this, but they were pretty much saying neither side is perfect. There's flaws on both sides. You're trying to weave your way through the flaws to find what's going to be able to really help you in the long run instead of helping themselves. And that's a hard thing to do with politics.
Right, but and here's another place where we dropped the ball, and we dropped the ball during the Biden administration. Is we have these groups that we should have been pushing forward, and no knock against like the DC project, right? Because I love those ladies. Yeah, I know they're not the DC project anymore, but at the time they were the DC project,
Right. Yeah.
And ladies like Cheryl Todd, like beautiful human beings, were up there fighting the good fight, having the meetings, all those things. Those are not the people we should have been pushing forward in the Biden administration, right? Like we should have had liberal gun club. We should have had liberal gun owners.
Right.
Like we need to take those groups, Pink Pistols, like all these groups, and we should have pushed them forward and said, start meeting. Like we need to get you in front of every fucking government official, talk to as many people as you can. And we didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like we still didn't do that. And they were right there. And they would have been happy if NSSF and everybody else would have came to them and said, look, we need you to have a bigger presence now than say like Walk the Talk America, right? Like there's nothing more effective than having people that have line up on every single issue, but disagree on the gun thing, right? Like that's the person I'm going to have talk to the Biden administration, so that when they're sitting there, it's like, we're just like this, and let me tell you why you're wrong on guns, right? And I think it's a strategy, and we just didn't take advantage of it, and we should have. And now
I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why. The same thing we said before. They want people in the community that sounds just like them and says the same thing as them and backs the same thing as them, and you lost an opportunity because, and I say this often, Democrats aren't going to listen to Republican gun owners. They'll listen to Democrat gun owners. It's like you have to put the people who they're trying to get their votes and the money from in front of them. And we have that in the firearms community and won't use it, won't give them a voice because, again, they're just going to vote against you. Well, here's a chance you had 4 years to actually use their voice to at least slow down anti-gun stuff, to battle them in your states, and you didn't use them and you won't use them because you consider those gun owners the enemy. You consider the LGBT community the enemy. You arm them begrudgingly. And that's not everybody because I have my events and there are people that will welcome, open arms. But it's true. The firearms community as a whole doesn't want anybody that doesn't agree with them in it representing them.
Yeah, it needs to be just about firearms. Yeah, it needs to be just about firearms. All the other shit, like that's side stuff, right? Like how you feel about abortion has nothing to do with how we feel about firearms and the Second Amendment. It should be completely separate. But I feel like we kind of mix these whole things together, and it's like this red box checklist that everybody has to hit. And it's like, I don't even need to know how you feel about abortion. Like if you're pro-gun, if you're pro-2A like I am, then we'll just stay in that lane. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we get away from that sometimes, and that's when it becomes uninviting because people say stuff and they ramble off and they don't realize like there's other people. You got to read the whole room. You know what I mean? Like you have to read the whole room.
I don't know. I think this has been well, actually, before I go into that, I want to say I was looking on the site here a little bit too, Mike. Something else I wanted to bring up was you guys also have this gun-friendly therapist directory. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. That's something that, we have the cultural competence course online, and we get a lot of clinicians that come through. We give every clinician that comes through our course an opportunity to be listed on our directory. Our directory is very small, so this is still an issue. There's a lot of mental health clinicians that do not want to be listed that really, and we've never had a negative review. They have to fill out a questionnaire at the end if they want the CEU credits. And we've never had anybody totally trash us. There's been pieces of the cultural competence course, of course, that people disagree with, or, something may have turned them off a little bit, but generally everyone says the course is useful. And, you look at that directory and it is small, but that directory is important, right? Everybody that's listed there is a pro to a clinician that's gone through the cultural competence course, that understands our fears, that is willing to, understand your love for firearms and not use it against you, and not be concerned. So that's what that is. But if anybody comes across this that knows a clinician that has no issue servicing, I mean, clinicians specialize in all kinds of things, right? Like if you look at psychology today and you look at the back end of psychology today, there's so many different categories that people can list as a clinician of who they service. I mean, everything from little people to airline pilots to traffic control people to the LGBTQ community, right? So we have begged psychology today to add Second Amendment or gun competent, cultural competence, anything, like however they want to phrase it, that would attract people to say like, oh, that's a gun person, or somebody that's not going to judge me because I'm a gun person. I'll definitely go to see that person. They won't do it. And we have a hell of a time. I mean, with as many people that take this damn course and do not click the yes, list me in your directory box, it means we still have a long way to go. But so I'm glad you brought it up and thank you. But I'm begging people that if they know someone that would want to be listed, let's just have them come through the course and then be listed on there. But it's gun owners need a space where they can feel safe talking about this and comfortable talking to somebody that's not going to judge them when they say like, I had anxiety today and I went to the range and I shot 1,000 rounds and I feel much better. That's not something that people should be alarmed about. So anyways, that's what that directory is.
Yeah. No, I actually have a person I went to high school with. I might reach back out to her again. She's local here, so see if I can get her on board with it. I know that she may be one of those people that might want to jump on board, so I'll do my best to get her added there. I know it's just one extra one, but at least still push it out there for you.
Yeah, no. And it's true. I mean, I think a lot of people would be listed, but they understand that there might be backlash for being on one of those lists and pages. I mean, if you ever have Jake on, I mean, let him tell you the backlash he took for actually taking a position at Walk the Talk America and talking about these things. I mean, he lost a lot of friendships from colleagues.
Yeah, let's be honest. We're all on a list. We know what it's like to be on a list. It's just different kind of lists.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but no, I think it's great that people have that. You guys give people that space to go to. I wanted to talk about that. I think it's on your site, and I was kind of looking at other things that I wanted to talk about, and that was one thing that I definitely wanted to get in there. So I appreciate you kind of informing people about that.
So if we do know someone that's a therapist that wants to get added to that, just have them reach out to you if they're wanting to look into getting to that.
Yeah, and if they don't want to talk to somebody, they just want to do it, just go through the course. You can go through the course on our website for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. You could take your time with it. You don't have to like do all 3 hours, and you know what I mean? Like you can come back to it and start where you left off and go through. And then at the end, click that you want to be listed on the directory. We basically just make you take the cultural competence number 1. We hope that when you take it, you love it so much that you take 2 as well. But, we just want you there. We just want you to we want you to go through and understand and take, like I said, everything we do is like take at least one thing away that you just didn't even think about, and that's really what it's there for.
Right on, man. So what all companies, I know we talked a little bit, kind of went back to the companies that work with you guys, and you mentioned Ruger, obviously, what other companies in the firearm industry have been really, really on board with you guys? So people know where, if they really want to also spend their money with great companies to support this, where can they go?
I would tell them to go to the partner page on our website just to see a complete list, right? Because there is some great companies out there, but I mean, two companies I really want to like draw special attention to, or maybe 3 or 4. Let's just do 3 or 4. Ruger, Arms Corps, and a couple distributors that have been really great to me, Lipsy's and Davidson's. If you are a gun shop owner, please go out and get accounts with Lipsy's and Davidson's. They really make this possible as well. But the complete list is on the website, and you can see all the different companies. And maybe there's a company you already support that's on there, but you just now you know that they're serious about gun owners being mentally healthy and suicide prevention. I mean, although at our core, like we're a suicide prevention, we're not even, we don't want to catch people then. Like, I don't even want to worry about red flag laws for people. I don't want to worry about suicide. I want gun owners to be mentally healthy. We have a mental health plan for all gun owners that's on our website that just asks a few questions that get you thinking about something. I want to draw some attention to that. I think it's great for gun owners. We also have a firearms instructor video. So if you're a firearms instructor and you want to incorporate, you don't even know how to talk about this stuff, but you feel like it's important, like you could just hit play on that. It's an hour long. It's built into different chapters. That gets you in the game, right? States are going to start. I already know this is coming. States are going to start requiring.
Right. And I don't even use the video. I use the PowerPoint that I think Jake sent me a long time ago. I still use it to this day. And it's, like I said, it's extremely well received. Every class I bring it up, and at the point where I bring it in, because I talk about legal use of force, I bring in the aftermath, and right after the aftermath is when I talk about Walk Talk America, and everyone's like, "Oh shit! Like, this is great." And like I said, the way I do it is great. I really appreciate the partnership with you guys, the relationship with you guys, and being able to support you guys. So.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys having me on the show. I know we're probably at the end here. I know it's a lot late. It's a lot later for you guys than it is for me.
Hey, no, man, this has been absolutely great. We just kind of go with the flow with these things, man. If they go 2.5, 3 hours, they go 2.5, 3 hours. This is, I know one we've all been excited about is to have you on, because I know Clayton talks about it. And I know Tony talks about it. I talk about it in my classes as well too. So, I've been really excited about this. And go ahead.
Definitely. I could use a re-up on some stickers, since I gave you the last bunch I had at USCCA.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, text me the address you want to send them to.
I'm just like, I mean, like I said, Chris, I know you said you can print the flyers off the website, right, Mike?
Yes. I'm gonna
you could print them off the website, or if any, I sent them out too. So
right here.
Yep.
I got all these here. These are all my classes. This is on me every single day.
Yep.
I'm with you on that one. And and the way I talk about my classes too, and I'm going back to how I bring up, the way I share my personal story, like, because after I had my little cancer scare, if you will, like, you were one of the people that were like, shit, man, you okay? Like, I can speak from a personal side of this. Like, you guys were there. Chris, Tony, all you guys were all for me, there for me in that time. I was never at a point of crisis, but knowing that I had people on my side, had my back, I could talk to. I mean, I remember at Expo down in Dallas, you're like, every time I saw you, like, hey man, how you doing? Like, you were always seeing how the hell I was doing, if I was okay, and I appreciate that, man. Like, I really do. And it's phenomenal. I appreciate the friendship and the support and everything that you guys are doing. So that's why I wear this every single day. And I did get people asking me about it too, like, what is that? And then I tell them, So man, it's great. I love to have you. I'm glad we got you on. I'm glad we had this conversation. Man, it's been a ride.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
And so where can people find you? I know you are all over the place. Let's get that out there.
So you can find us at WTTA.org. You can find us on all social media platforms at Walk the Talk US. We're very responsive. You can also use the email form on the website. Go up there, sign up for the newsletter. If you have a question or comment, we love feedback. If you just have a question, right? Like, you want to know how. I think this is an organization that all gun owners can be proud of. It's an opportunity for gun owners to be part of the conversation and not have to feel dirty anymore when we didn't have answers for some of these things. You know what I mean? Like, every time there's tragedy, I mean, it breaks our heart equally as to people who are non-gun people, but it was always hard to be that person in the room after a mass shooting when people were kind of like up in arms and emotional, and we're just kind of like, yeah, it's not the gun's fault, right? Because we never had these solutions. But now, like, when I'm in those rooms or these tragedies happen. There was a mass shooting in a gym yesterday and right down the street up here in Vegas. And, like I had some friends over and we were able to have a discussion about, a nuanced discussion about like what the gun industry is doing to combat this and what I believe are ways that we can get upstream. It's a completely different story than me just being like, don't blame the gun. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I think
Right,
like
yeah,
you can be proud of the organization. We believe the same thing you do, right? Like no compromise. We don't like feel good legislation. It's just something now finally that all gun owners can be like, we have Walk Talk America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's also why I avoid gyms, because of the chance of having a shooting.
Smart. Can't
I'm
get shot at the gym if you're not at the gym.
right there, baby, right there.
Oh,
Think
man.
about it.
And I know you mentioned all the social media stuff, but I wanted to mention, because you see you've got the shirt on, the podcast
yes.
as well too, with guns and mental health.
Oh yeah, the Guns and Mental Health podcast. If we like to think of it as just like we've had everybody from mass shooting survivors to mass shooters. Obviously, we talked about it earlier. To suicide survivors, to suicide loss survivors. Any all walks of life. I mean, we've had comedians on there. I mean, we've had different people to kind of tackle and talk about gun issues, whether it's negative or positive. So go check it out. I think it's pretty fascinating. Most of the shows are hosted by Jake Wiskerson and myself. Jake is a mental health clinician, for those that don't know, who's also a super pro 2A gun guy. And it's always fascinating to kind of listen to Jake when we have guests on, because like, whether he does it on purpose or not, he's a therapist. So he kind of like tells people what they're feeling and what they're going through and breaks down like feelings and emotions and things like that. So it's really cool.
That dude's incredible. That dude is honestly incredible.
He is. He's an awesome guy. He's just a great dude.
Who?
And,
Who?
Jake.
Dad joke Jake? Dad joke Jake?
Jake from State Farm, khaki wearing Jake.
Dude,
he does have a bunch of dad jokes, man. there are times when he busts them out on the show, and I'm like, oh.
I love it, dude. I have the coolest friends.
Yes.
I was looking at your partners page and I see Bursa's there, and I wanted to throw something out because people don't know. All right, the Bursa. Everybody knows the 22 from Bursa, but they got a cool hammer fired Bursa 9 mil, but they also have 1911s and 45, and now they have 2011s. So, and at the price that's crazy for a 2011. So check them out, because we've all spoke to their engineer. I mean, we spoke to the guy that puts it together and designed the gun. So if you don't know, Bursa is one of those companies. Oh, and they have an AR. So I mean, it's just one of those companies that you're going to get a lot for what you pay, that a lot of people don't know about. So I think that's pretty cool. So
yeah, and they did something that was really cool. They did something that was really cool too. So when so for those that don't know, I used to own Bursa USA in terms of like the trademark, and it came through Eagle Imports, which was my company. And Bursa was actually the very first company that put the card, the free and anonymous mental health screening card, in the boxes of the guns. But when Bursa broke off from Eagle and stood independently in the United States, they stopped putting the card in the box because there was just a new regime change, right? It wasn't personal. It was just, hey, like, we own this company now. We're doing things our way. And then over the years at SHOT Show, me still talking with Bursa and some of my old employees moving over to that side, they were like, hey, we're going to start putting the card in the box again. So like we came full circle, right? Like it started at Bursa and now it's coming back. It went back to Bursa. And one of the coolest things about it is they contacted me and they're like, Mike, can we use the back of the card and make it Spanish? The exact same thing, but make it Spanish, because we have a lot of customers that are Hispanic and in South America and everything like that. And I was like, damn, yes, you can. Like, that is awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they took the card idea, and I think they just built on it, right? And this is what the message here. What I want people to hear is, if you give gun people the opportunity to be part of this and get involved, they're gonna take your idea and they can even make it greater. And Bursa did that. So like I appreciate Bursa and them doing that. I think is huge.
No, that's cool. That is really cool.
Yeah, that's
I
really
didn't know
cool,
that.
man.
I didn't even know that.
Hey, look, the cards even in the box to the 5 guns Avidity Arms sells a year. So that's pretty cool. Those people.
And a sticker. Like, yeah, because when you sell 5 guns, you could do that. You could put a lot of things in that box.
I love
burn
Rob,
through.
dude. I'm just busting his balls, bro. I love Rob.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my PD10, by the ways.
You
We
better call
send
him
out 5
quick.
a year, so like you could
Oh,
depends
so
on where.
I got time.
5, 10,
Yeah.
20.
Depends on where you
you're
are on
at.
that
If you're like
list.
number 27, yeah, like you could.
Yeah, it's gonna be next year, dude.
Next year, 2028, whatever.
You
Oh,
guys are
man.
such jerks. These are your friends.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, I appreciate the work you do. I love bringing it up too because it's like, yeah,
Me
there are
too.
people out there doing work, bro, and you should give them a look. And I see you got that weirdo Chris Chang.
I do. Chris is a huge champion for Walk the Talk. I was just with Chris at the NSSF leadership conference, and we're talking about doing the Chris Chang Challenge, where he raises money for Walk Talk America. But Chris's contribution to suicide prevention and the stuff that he does. Once again, we talked about earlier, Tony. Like the people we should have been pushing forward during the Biden administration, Chris would be top of that list.
100%.
Because
100%.
yeah.
100%.
And it's like, yeah, all right, where's Chris? Where was Aaron Paulette? You know what I mean? Where was Gina
Yep.
Roberts? It's
Yep.
like, no, all of a sudden you have an issue because you don't want those people representing you. And I'm like,
Right.
you're your own worst enemies. You snore your nose off beside your face. Please, people, understand that diversity means you're going to have people in it that maybe you don't align with, but the only thing you should be aligning with is the Second Amendment and saving lives. That's it.
Yep.
Not just Second Amendment, but just freedom.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
but I mean, it's a what do you call a Venn diagram? That if
Yeah,
you believe in the
right.
Second Amendment, you're going to be a pro freedom person too. That's also one of the reasons a lot of people were silenced in 2020, 2021 that were pro 2A, because they're also some of the loudest people that were pushing back against the shot and against mask. And then all of a sudden you're thrown off of social media because you think about the momentum we had as Second Amendment advocates in 2019 when we had the November event in Washington, D.C. And then January came around and we have one of the biggest pro 2A event in Virginia with 50,000 people showing up in Richmond on lobby day. Like we were growing. We had events across the nation in 2019 and more scheduled for 2020. And then COVID hit. And there were a lot of people that went to social media and word was getting out. And then they started deleting accounts because of anti-COVID posts. And that was a lot of gun people because they're freedom people. And then they killed the voice. And we haven't really been back to that level since with nationwide pro 2A rallies. We haven't been back there since 2020. Not to that level.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
All right.
Yeah, this
I'm
has
going
been,
to
this has
bed.
been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed this. I mean, I thank you, Mike, so much for coming on
Absolutely, brother.
and chatting with us, man. I mean, it's again, it's absolutely amazing what you're doing. Because it's one of those things I think where a lot of people want to use, like I said earlier, they want to use that statistic, but don't want to have a solution for it. And now like you said, we've got that solution for it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, fellas. This has been an awesome way to spend my Saturday night. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's anytime.
Yeah. No, you're welcome on the show anytime, brother. Seriously. Hopefully I get to see you in a few months down at Goals. And we got to talk about that too and see the Airbnb, what we're going to all do for that. But we'll talk more
Yeah,
about
I'll definitely be at goals. So
that. Yeah, cool, man. Well, I
Yeah,
appreciate
they
you,
invited
brother.
me to speak. They invited me to speak again this year. Let's see if they help get me down there because again, doing this stuff for free kind of sucks. So yeah,
You're just preaching to the choir, brother.
But thanks again, Mike. We hope
Yep.
everybody enjoyed the episode. Again, it was episode 7. We had Michael Sodini on from Walk the Talk America, and we hope everybody has a good night.
My energy is next level, so damn you better be careful. I got an angel and devil, he stabs me straight in the temple. I'm ready to be a rebel, I've got a lot of potential hidden